Hello guys, this is your friend Naruto Audio Fanfics and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is what if Naruto became the last shinobi alive? Naruto times Sakura times Hinata times Ino times Tenten times Tamari times Anko times Tsunade times Shizune, Harem Part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. So is this the chemical we need to wipe out Konoha? Kabuto said. Yes, Kabuto-sama. This liquid is used to exterminate the entire population of Konoha along with the rest of the villages with a simple common cold. I see, well, good work. I want a full report on its side effects, and just in case create a vaccine so that we won't get the symptoms of that disease. I'll do my best, Kabuto-sama. It was 2 in the morning as the four-eyed shinobi was working on the latest biological weapon new to the shinobi world, combining diseased herbs from the entire shinobi nation, chakra, and the blood of Orochimaru's experiments. He was able to make that'll end the life of the shinobi nation and eventually give supreme power to Orochimaru. Kabuto went to the next room to work on a full report for Orochimaru. He was way too excited now that his discovery of the new liquid to end life and reborn through evil works. Eventually he copied the notes and the process to make the new viral liquid in an attempt to sell the stuff on the black market across the nation. Suddenly noise was heard from the next room. Kabuto raced to the experimental room only to find 3 shinobi dead as he checked their pulses. Apparently the 3 suffered from a weird disease and what he saw shocked him. The flask liquid containing those contents was broken and started sweeping through the air ventilation. Oh, Orochimaru-sama. Kabuto started to feel uneasy. He started coughing up some blood and at the same time he had the common cold. He rushed through the dark alley in hopes of informing him of the cause. Instead he was met with eternal darkness and collapsed in the hallway. 3 weeks later. Naruto was pissed by the fact that his arrow Sennin disappeared on day with a note by his side. At first he could only see it as a test of sensing his chakra, but after reading that note it became clear after camping out in the middle of the forest. In fact, most of their training was outside civilization in the last year before returning home, as the purpose was to rough it out for a long period of time when doing missions involving stakeouts. Naruto, I know it's the last year of this 3-year training, but I'm going to find Orochimaru's place alone. I wanted to take you with me, but a vile wind has been blowing over us. I want you to go back to Konoha and check out anything suspicious. Gaki, I hope you get the idea, but right now I have a bad feeling that life is going to change forever. Your perverted Sannin, Jiraiya. Knowing how his home could be in grave danger put full throttle in his brain and mind as he gathered up all his equipment and clothing and left. Negative thoughts passed through his mind as he rushed through the forest and back to Konoha. The sight of seeing dead bodies everywhere amongst the streets, his beloved Sakura-chan dead and covered in pools of blood, and the rest of his friends all dead by the hands of either Orochimaru's forces or an unknown being. Please, Kami, I hope everyone is safe. Please, Sakura-chan stays alive too. He was halfway there till he saw smoke from a far distance. The blonde was too late. Konoha was attacked, and as he knew it, the people he knows and care has died. He didn't hesitate to rush through the forest until he noticed something he didn't expect happen. Explosive tags set off, knocking the blonde off balance, sending him hard to the grass. Eventually the only things he heard and saw were the sounds of explosion and darkness covering his eyes. Flashback. Reina, take your brother and get away from this village as fast as you can. Father, why? She asked. A strange epidemic is sweeping across the nation in the symptoms of the common cold. Strangely, it's been affecting men, but we can't seem to find the cure for this cause. Hurry for our family's sake, Reina. Her father said. Reina could only get his sleeping brother out of the bed as mass chaos spread among the village. She got at a small distance on the hilltop to see the village in pandemonium. She got up only to feel her brother's forehead burning. Kiss us, are you alright? She asked desperately. Reina, I'm sick, am I going to die? He asked weakly. Sob, no you're not, little brother. It's going to be okay, everything's going to good and we'll all be happy once again. Reina gripped his hand as he gripped hers. He lost complete strength as he continued to cough up blood and at the same sneezing. 3 hours later Kisuke died after contracting the disease that has been rapidly spreading throughout the entire Shinobi nation. Reina buried her little brother in a grave next to the village with honor. The next thing she knew is finding a way to reverse the epidemic, or rather reverse time and stop the matter. I'll need to find the celestial scroll along with the stone. Even though it's a rumor to have reverse and manipulate time through space, then it's better to have stopped the plague once more. Reina got up and had a long journey to do. End of flashback. What the hell was that dream, and what the hell does she mean by the celestial scroll and stone? Naruto complained. It was nighttime as the sunset was dying, completely turning into darkness. He realized the time he's wasted after that brutal assault some 13 hours ago. He got up and hurried to the village as fast as he can. As soon as he arrived the village, from what he could from above the high treetops, half the village was unscathed while the other half had minor damage. What the hell is going on over there? The blonde jumped down and headed into the heart of the village. Konoha's streets were completely deserted, like as if the place was a mere ghost town compared to the places in the west. As he was walking, Naruto finds a small journal entry in the middle of the street. He looked at and found it strange that something so personal was in the middle of the streets in the dead of the night. It was rather suspicious. He wondered why a journal was placed in the middle of the street where the only place a journal would be is in dust. Naruto didn't like it but took the chance to read it to find clues on the situation Konoha's in. January 24th. Word got out that a strange epidemic began in Kumogakure and started spreading all over the Shinobi nations across the land. Eventually I find it hard to believe till oh no, the disease is already here. All I can hear is mass chaos and confusion spread everywhere. Even the shinobi here are confused as well. Later. January 26th. I was in the hospital rumored to have caught the disease. They wanted to kill me to prevent the disease from spreading. That is until the males in the hospital suddenly died. How could this be? Is it this bad that we must suffer Kami's wrath for so long? How I wish I could be at home drinking sake and reading the book. January 29th. The kunoichi and the females here are starting to act strange. I heard that the other male alive died just recently, making the total male deaths 1999. This is bad. If I can get the hell out of this place, then I guess it's my time. Then I hope Kami will forgive me when I die. As I write this, I hope any living male here will get the picture of what's happening right now. What the is going on here? What the hell is this disease that has spread through Konoha? The blonde closed the book as he felt something he didn't want to feel. Naruto felt some killer intent coming from all directions, giving him an uneasy feeling that he wasn't alone. At night was especially the bad call to start conflict, but with so much killer intent that puts him in a bad position. He used a substitution jutsu and made a run for it. The only place he could think of is his home where he might be safe. As soon as he got there, he finds the door unlocked and open. This earned him something to be more freaked out. The moment he took out his kunai and began to move into his apartment very carefully. His apartment was totally shattered with broken glass and his stuff to go. He went over to his room to find a soft stuffed red fox in his bedroom. Naruto recalled getting Sakura this during a festival in Konoha 3 years ago. He didn't like the looks of things. The only difference in that plush fox was the facial expression. It had a sadistic look on its face, like asking for blood or death among everyone. He picked up the doll and inspected it. What he saw was writing written in blood that says, "You're mine." Naruto froze, and the next thing he knew he turned around only to be knocked in the forehead with a glass bottle, shattering his face and his head, leaving him collapsing on the floor. Before long the last thing he saw someone with pink hair and a woman with large. "Mother, what are we going to do now?" Reina asked. "Well, now that all the males have been wiped out, there may be hope that there are still some left alive somewhere that hasn't or even is immune to the disease. Wow, this isn't going to be that easy." "Yeah, I know, Reina, but it gets tough." "Why is that, mother?" "Think about it." Shizuka continued. "During the dawn of age, men have been superior to women. In fact, males believe that females are rather useless housewives that aren't strong enough to handle male labor or have the brains to even handle hostile situations. So what are you trying to say? Reina said. It means that, get down. A storm of masked kunoichi was searching the grounds of the village. With the possibility of the male population down by an estimated 95%, drastic measures were taken to search for any male refugee alive regardless of age and ranking system. Males now were scarce since the majority were female and any male found alive was a mere blessing. That was close. Her Shizuka said. What now? She asked. I want you to find those celestial items that your father mentioned in the ancient scrolls under our basement. Are you saying that we should just let this thing go on? Reina complained. I guess you changed your mind about all this. Hurry before they find out our plan. Understood, mother. End of flashback. Darkness consumed his world, and after finding out that his own men had died from the disease, all he could now is pray that he's going to Kami, but at the same pray that his body won't be used like a useless doll. Damn, same dream like yesterday. Wait, where am I? Am I still alive? He said. No, you're not, Naruto. In fact, you're being kept in confinement. A voice said. Naruto wakes up to see that he's still in complete darkness. He tried moving but finds that his arms were spread out, bounded by the chains from the roof. Though his legs weren't bound, he realizes that he was half from the waist up and only had his black pants. It felt like hell. He was still alive and had to escape quickly as fast as he can till he saw a voice coming directly at him. You do realize that it's futile to resist. Those chains are chakra enhanced, a voice said. What do you want from me? Naruto cried. Oh, so when he screams, oh please, can I touch him? I promise I'll share him to the rest of the population of kunoichi and civilian women. A voice said. You and 1,500 women, that's pretty much desperate to have once in a lifetime. Another voice said. He has no idea who we are, Tsunade-sama. Wait, Tsunade-sama? The blonde asked. To think that after 3 years of training you would turn out to be such hunk. I guess not. After all, the dobi was pretty dense back in my genin years. I recognized that voice somewhere. Wait, who are you guys? He asked. Guess he doesn't remember. Fine, cat's out of the bag, let's show him who we are. A light was shown above him. All he could see was darkness around the circumference of the light shown above him. He saw 4 figures walking toward him, and as the figures became clearer he was shocked. Tsunade, Shizune, Sakura and Anko were staring at him with lust in their eyes. Naruto couldn't believe that he was captured by his own people, but at the same time he had confusion written on his face as to why this happened all of a sudden in the middle of a bad day. Tsunade Obachan, how are you doing? It's been 3 years since I've seen most of you, he said nervously. Likewise, Naruto, seeing as though you've been improving, I guess that means you were destined to be in shape. She said. What do you mean? He asked. If you must know, a strange disease struck Konoha a week after word broke out that an epidemic was reaching the entire Shinobi nation, killing an estimated 2 million shinobi along with 900,000 civilians. That's insane. How can a disease like that kill that many with so many good medic shinobi such as you, Sakura-chan, and Shizune-chan? It doesn't make sense as far as having to be captured by you for no apparent reason. Actually, it makes perfect sense. Remember, you found that journal in the middle of the street some time ago. You mean the one about the males dying? You don't mean. Yep, all male civilians and shinobi died from the disease and are in that number of casualties alone. In fact, you may be the only male shinobi alive that may help to repopulate the village of Konoha. The blonde Jinchuriki took all he had into consideration from what his Hokage said. At first he put up a big smile across his face, then he realized that now the women are in control and that he was nothing more than a mere plaything to them. Still, he wanted to get confirmation if his theory is correct after reading that journal he found in the streets of Konoha. He didn't go on that 3-year training to get stupid after all. I'm guessing that there's a catch to all of this now that I may be the only male alive, doesn't it? Naruto said. You're smarter than expected. Yes, now that the male population died, Rules have been placed in order to ensure the safe survival of our people. Clans have been afraid of their own extinction, so I issued the clan restoration order and ordered all remaining females to get in bed with any surviving male to ensure their rights. Quote, I'm guessing it didn't work out now that the order has been issued out. Right, Naruto, it didn't work out because a lot of females have started to have second thoughts about the aftermath of the disease. The head clans in Konoha refuse to comply and are becoming more independent since they don't trust moi as the Hokage of this village. Tsunade continued. Many women have started to become more greedy now that the dominant roles between males and females. We are in control and have more power than all the remaining males alive. To you and all the other males are nothing but valuable tools for our personal use. Naruto began to lose hope that and started to sink in all the information he had on the harsh reality that has sunk in his brain and his heart. Yet he still had hope if he wanted to escape and find those items the girl he said would change the past in his dreams. The first thing he had to do is get out and escaping the wrath of crazy females turn horned cats or else suffer long days of his sore crouch after too much intensity. Sakura just stared at him with mixed feelings. Sasuke was dead along with her male teammates and the only person he had was the hot blonde that she was staring at. She always considered him annoying and always preferred the Uchiha better than him. Now that the male population was dead, Naruto was all that's left of for her, but not the old Naruto. The new Naruto was a hot 16-year-old male, with bulging pecs, a six-pack, and long blonde hair to die for. Sakura went over to the blonde and began caressing his face, earning him a blush across his face. Naruto, now that you've come back to me, I guess you could say that I love you as of now. What are you talking about, Sakura-chan? I mean that you love me, but not out of love. Love died when the epidemic hit and now the whole world is full of lust, control, and slavery of the remaining males. Sakura-chan, you don't have to love me, okay? I don't want to do this anymore as much as I want in every man's wet dreams. I won't do this, he said. You will and you have no choice, Naruto. Tsunade yelled. I can't. It's wrong for me do this out of lust instead of love, and plus what if you girls decide to torture me rather than have me put in a room filled with women selling themselves to me? He yelled. Naruto, please, you must understand, we don't want this as much we do, but we have no choice for the sake of our village and your village. Shizune said. Shizune's right, Naruto. As of now every female all over the continent is trying to make a living in order to survive. We lost a lot of husbands, friends, nephews, associates, even little babies. A lot of women have suffered because of this and I can't stand to see this suffering prolong even further. Not only is that, but Konoha is playing a game of survival of the fittest. Whoever has the most males repopulates faster, and I won't allow any male out of this village even if I have to make them into mindless slave if I must. You and the rest of you male scumbags are slaves, Naruto, and there's nothing you can do about it but repopulate our village with that thick rod of yours. Then what about the huge smoke I saw? That was the official bonfire of all the males piled up and burned till ashes. After all, we females are smarter than the male brain, and the bonfire is to prevent any well-known diseases from spreading. The blonde just sweat dropped after hearing those comments coming from his Hokage. Naruto had to come up with a plan to escape. He didn't want to explain the items mentioned in his dreams due to the fact that most females wanted to be the dominant being in the new world and enslave the males for eternity. The first thing he has to do is get out of this place and find the girl who has connection to those celestial items. You know what you write, I'm nothing more than a slave. So come over here, Sakura-chan, and give this blonde a kiss of a lifetime. The cherry blossom squealed with delight as she flaunted herself onto him and gave him a kiss. She knew how badly she needed him now that Konoha was in deep trouble. As they kissed, Naruto hated to do this to the cherry blossom but did it for their sake if he wanted to something better for her. I'm sorry, Sakura-chan, but I want you to have a better life, rather be with me. The blonde broke from his hand restraint and knocked Sakura out. He put chakra in his right hand and had the inhuman strength to break his left restraint. After breaking out, he made an immediate run to whatever's consumed in darkness. After him, he must not escape the village or land in any of the clan's grasp, otherwise we may have a civil war at our hands. The girls went after the blonde shinobi as he made his way out of the exit. Naruto rushed through whatever's consumed in darkness till he finds himself in midair. Oh crap! Naruto landed on the soft dirt with his back facing the ground as he stared at the sky. The weather was cloudy and dark, which happens to be a bad time considering the situation he's in. He got up and stayed concealed as he traveled through the bushes and into whatever dark shadow was there to keep concealed. I have to get out of Konoha if I wish to stay alive and find those celestial items to go back and prevent this disease from spreading. He rushed through the alley of Konoha and ends up coming across the training grounds of Team 9. He looked around, sensed that no one was here, but found something disturbing. He finds a dog's head with a pole sticking out in the middle of the totem pillars reaching 7 feet high. This was bad for Naruto. Knowing that sign means that territory has been grounded now that some of the clans were dependent on males for their own sake. Despite the entrance outside Konohagakure, the blonde didn't hesitate to move deeper in the woods where his true journey begins. He moved fast, knowing his pursuers were on the chase. The forest died out to find two dogs in front of a porch, all growling at him. The blonde froze at the exact moment. He knew he was in territory by the looks of those dogs. He looked to his left to find a kunoichi with long brown hair and crimson eyes staring at him. He looked around to find another kuoichi with purple markings on her face, long black hair and dog eyes, meaning one thing. Oh shit, I'm in Inuzuka turret. Naruto was once again knocked out by a large bamboo stick rather than a glass bottle. Not again. He looked to see two dogs staring at him along with the two other kunoichi licking their lips and staring at him with lust. Kurenai-san, he's still breathing and by his scent he looks tasty. You're right, Hana, let's get him in before the rest of the women get to him, otherwise we may have another fight again. The blonde was dragged from the feet as he looked at the sky. Once again he was knocked out the third time and consumed in darkness. The blonde once again awakens now to find himself laying down to the core along with his wrists and ankles bounded by hard steel. Crap, this is the third time that I've been knocked out cold, and that dream again. I think I know where to go now. That girl is searching for those items. Searching for what, Naru-chan? The door opened to reveal Hana Inuzuka completely as her dog went right over to him and started growling at him. The kunoichi simply sat down next to him as her hand simply went down to his crouch and started caressing his manhood, earning him a moan an instant hard from the blonde. You like that, don't ya, Naruto-kun? She said sweetly. Hana, please let me go, I have an assignment to do. Okay, just let me go. He pleaded. I know what your assignment is, which is why I'm completely along with you and Kurenai-san. That's not the point. Wait. You mean she's here? He yelled. Yep. She was pretty upset when her fiancé Asuma contracted the flu when the epidemic came. She was by her side every day praying that he would get better. 4 months ago she gave birth to his little baby boy named Kira. Apparently Asuma died, leaving her all alone with his 3-month-old son. That is until what, Hana-chan? What happened? Naruto asked. Her infant son died. He started crying frequently and coughed up quite a bit. She had Tsunade save her baby, but it was too late as the disease spreaded quickly to him. She lost all hope now that 2 important people died in front of her. Felt the same when she saw the crimson-eyed kunoichi cried too hard on her shoulders. Naruto felt too much sympathy towards the widowed kunoichi. He's never felt so bad since the day that the Sandame lost his life in the Konoha invasion. Now all he could now is listen to every sad story that every female has to offer and a reason why he should have with them. What are you going to do to me now, Hana-chan? Simple, have with you, or rather me and Kurenai-chan is going to rape you, she said. I won't allow this. I'm not going to do this because I'm coerced to have. You will, and I'll make sure of it. Think about it, you're very valuable to us now and we're willing to sacrifice everything including our bodies to help benefit our needs. What I need to do is something that'll put my life at risk if I don't try. He countered. Too bad for you, we need every male alive if Konoha wishes to survive. Mo, it's time for some fun. Kurenai, he's all ready, you may come in now. Hana yelled. Naruto looks up to see a Kurenai coming out from the. Recalling what happened to her family, all he wanted to do now is comfort her. Instead, she looked at him with a sadistic smile on her face. She got what appears to be duct tape, cloth and alcohol. The blonde didn't like that look. She suffered so much pain and agony, she didn't deserve this. Asuma was like a friend to him. He taught him many techniques the moment he found out that he had an affinity for wind. Still, her body was magnificent. Her large and beautiful looks makes her feel like a goddess to him. Only now she was a goddess of grief and sorrow. Naru-chan, I'm sorry, but I'll make sure you never get away. I've lost so much in my life and I'm not going to pass up this time to get in bed with another man, even if I have to rape you every second of your being, just so that I can have a family once more. If you escape, I'll kill you, then I'll rape your useless body till it's worn out. With inhuman speed, she taped the blonde's mouth to prevent any noise coming out of the house. Naruto was struggling to break free, but it was futile. 2 sets of hands started caressing his manhood. As he was instantly hard, Hana and Kurenai took the initiative and started sucking away at his manhood. The Genjutsu mistress looked desperate enough to taste something she had long lost since her Asuma died. Now that the male population was nearly extinct, Kurenai is completely broken. The only thing left to keep her at bay was her friend Hana and her new slave Naruto Uzumaki. Muffled moaning was heard from the blonde. The way they handled his manhood was off the charts, as the only thing he could now is watch in horror as his body was being used for their desires. He couldn't hold it anymore when Naruto came in front of their faces. So Kurenai-chan, do you want to him? I know I would, but since you're suffering the most, I guess I let this one go. Hana said. The Genjutsu mistress didn't hesitate as she readied herself right in front of him, guiding his member close to her lips. Naru-chan, this is what I always wanted, and you're going to last for 3 hours, like it or not. She immediately slammed herself hard on his member, earning moaning, screaming from the 2 shinobi. The kunoichi moved up and down at a faster pace. The pain was too much for the blonde shinobi as he screamed in pleasure and pain. Hana was impressed by this. She has never seen anything wilder than seeing her 2 dogs mate in the sun. Looking at both shinobi, Hana was desperate to mate with Naruto. Kiba's death took part of her out emotionally and went into deep depression, that is, till her dogs sniffed out a blonde male heading towards her way and set up the perfect ambush for her to do. Screams of pleasure was coming out from the Genjutsu mistress as felt something flow inside her. She collapsed on Naruto's chiseled abs as both shinobi come all together. With Naruto's manhood inside her, she removed the duct tape and forcefully kissed the blonde as tongues battled each other. Naruto had to fight back but was overwhelmed by the kunoichi's harsh kissing methods despite how much his manhood was hurting inside her. Naru-chan, we're not done yet, I still have more use for you. She yelled. She grabbed his head and started pounding hard as she continued him while she was laying on his body, kissing him in his neck and sucking on him. She lost control of herself. She was hurting for no reason but to satisfy her needed desires. Her large chest touching his, making it more exotic than ever as the blonde succumbs to being raped. Give it to me, my slave, satisfy me like you would satisfy your Sakura-chan. Moan, oh that's right, yeah, I'm going till you're dry. She laughed in a maniac-like voice. Ah, please Kurenai-sama, please, I'll do anything to stop, it hurts. Oh baby, I love it when you say my name. Moan, oh yes my slave, you're so fantastic. She quickens her pace as her body moved forward and backward, up and down like rabbit. Naruto was losing strength when he came once again. Ah. Kurenai just collapsed on him once more. The feeling of chiseled body reminded her of Asuma, only now she was staring at Naruto Uzumaki, the hot blonde who could have been raped in every corner if he had been found by nearly half the population. She got off him and stared at him with a sadistic look on her face, and then to Hana. Naruto Uzumaki, our own slave, I must say you're very impressive and quite big for your age. I'm glad that you're the only male here because me, Hana, and the rest of the other women here in Konohagakure always wanted a male slave to satisfy our daily needs. I'll make sure you never escape Konoha, and if you do, I'll be the one to torture you so much that Anko's work is child's play compared to my arsenal. After all, I can do a powerful genjutsu on you to have you crying out for forgiveness and begging me to have another round with you. Feeling weary, she winked at the Inuzuka, giving her the message that she was done and was next in line. Hana was next in line to bear Naruto's child. She went over to her bag and picked up long chakra-powered handcuffs. When it comes to mating, Hana was to be done in every position if possible, but since the blonde was tired from too much, she decided only 2 positions will do. She went over to the blonde and hooked up the handcuffs on his arms and legs and activated the seal, setting him free from the restraints on the floor. Too weary to see, all the blonde could see was Hana giving him a smirk after placing the other end of the handcuffs bound to her ankle and wrists. Naru-chan, I'm going to set you free, but that doesn't mean I can let you go. Oh no, I want you to from behind like every dog would do to his mate. I'm so horny that all I want to do to you is you till I get some of your juices inside me so that I can bear you pups. With enough strength, the blonde got up along with Hana on their knees. The kunoichi bent down, giving him room to have his manhood inside her. He took her in hard and began her from behind. He had never felt so much pain that his manhood can take, as if it was going to explode. He didn't have much strength left as he her from behind. Oh, you're so hot, oh dear Kami, you're so big. Come on, faster. Harder. Deeper. He quickens his pace to a point where he was at high speed till he came inside her, that is. Hana-chan, I'm going to. He did and almost felt like passing out, that is when he grabbed her on the sides and lifted her up and threw themselves to the sides. Now the blonde was Hana from in a spoon position, making it better. He rammed her harder with each thrust, causing the 2 shinobi to scream in pleasure. He grabbed her and began feeling them. As the last moments of his time came, he pulled his manhood till it was completely out, then rammed her hard. He climaxed inside her again, diminishing his strength and falling unconscious. Hana, on the other hand, had never felt so much before in her life. She moved around to see the blonde knocked out cold once again. Never has she seen how defenseless he is at a time like this. If he was out cold in the middle of the streets, then his body would have been a tug of war, or rather pulled in every direction and fighting to bear his child. 3 hours later. So he's been captured by the Hana and Kurenai. Yes, Hokage-sama, it's been reported that Naruto has suffered some torments from Uehi Kurenai. Probably related to how insane she went after losing her child and husband Asuma Sarutobi. I knew it. Anko still hasn't convinced her to join us after what we've been through in Konoha. I want you and your Anbu squad to escort me to Inuzuka territory to negotiate a deal for Naruto's safe return. Remember, this has to be kept secret, otherwise all hell will break loose at 7 in the evening. Hi Hokage-sama. The Anbu squad left, leaving Tsunade all alone on the rooftops as she watched a near-deserted Konoha. It was terrible that all the males have died, even though most of them were perverts and starved men who only wanted to use women for their own personal desires. Now it's reversed. She got what she wanted ever since her 2 beloveds died in the war and couldn't help but feel satisfied due to the situation she was in. Tsunade-sama, are you sure you should capture Naruto like this? I mean, he's just a teenager. Just a teenager, Shizune. That's the thing. I wanted to make sure Naruto gets better treatment, but Homura said that the demon container should have been more than just a public slave. What do you mean, Tsunade-sama? She wants to bring him in the middle of the village to show how pathetic a male is in front of the female villagers. A slave to every woman's desire that is willing to give up his life for servitude. To show the exact same treatment males did to us when they were alive. That's terrible, but Naruto's human like all of us. Shizune say solemnly. He's not Shizune, and I'm afraid to say it, but he's a slave to us with no equal rights. Hell, I heard that Sakura is in desperate need to treat him to too much hell, that she's already preparing chains, lingerie, and a long list of chores to have him do for the rest of his life. We are so terrible, we are so cruel to him, just like how we are going to be once we find more male survivors out there. You're right, Our hidden demons have come out in the open, and as I walk around the village all women are sad and have nowhere to turn to but to see a male in the middle and ravish him. Hell, I even hear two females talking say that once the remaining males are captured, then they're going to subject them to slavery and make them mindless slaves. 2 hours later, the blonde Jinchuriki awakens in a damp area, and right in front of him was the seal before the cage. Out comes the Kyuubi no Kitsune. It's been a while, you lame fox. Likewise, Baka, I would have been wishing to be that bitch as she was riding you hard like a rabbit. Wait, you're a female and you've been watching. Of course, but not exactly what you were expecting after being inside you for so long. Besides, I'm inside your body, so I get the feeling you get from those desperate whores. Cut the crap, okay? I guess you were having a lot of fantasies about me, weren't ya? A woman gets horny once in a while. Not every day you see a demon fox giving it to herself as she screams your name in ecstasy. Whatever, I appreciate the fact that you want to get in my pants, but look, Foxheim, I need to get out of Konoha and find those celestial items that some girl named Reina has been talking about in my dreams. Also, it's finally time for you to learn of your purpose. What are you talking about? Naruto asked. Long ago there lived a village hidden in forgotten time. There a woman named Ceres was the cage for that village, who has the ability to manipulate time and change the past to whatever's her desire. Wow, I didn't know such a village exists. It does, but Ceres and the rest of her men created a multiple seals and forbidden research to seal them away from the outside world. The only exception she made was that 1 or 2 families keep connection to the village should something so tragic ever occur in the future. Wait a sec, who is this Ceres? He asked. Ceres is the Maiden of Time. She created the village of Forgotten Time with her godlike power to manipulate time and change the past. In fact, she created the village to benefit the world if the life was to be plunged into eternal conflict and extinction. The Celestial Stone and the Celestial Scroll she made was the keys to traveling back to the past and finding out faults written in the scriptures of that scroll according to the user's mind. She put in most of her life's work into saving humanity by changing the past and creating eternal peace of creating the scroll and the stone. Problem now is that she's losing her power as of today, now that the world has been plunged to a mass male extinction and is in desperate need of assistance. Now the power she had entrusted with are the families with connection to the outside world should there be a mass conflict as of now where the 2 families are still alive and feeling mutual. I'm guessing it didn't work out too great. You're right, families began having civil conflicts and decided to secede from each other. It's rumored that they carry scrolls that contain clues on how to open the internal gate that stands in the middle of this continent. I'll give you a clue. One of the villagers is one of the families here in Konoha that has these scrolls. Yada. Alright, let's get a move, shall we? He said happily. One problem, Baka. What is it, Foxheim? That person is a Haruno that lost its memories during my invasion 16 years ago. I knew you would screw me up over something like that. Wait, Haruno, you don't mean? Yep. Kid, it's that pink-haired whore you've been in love with all this time. You mean to say that Sakura's family may contain some of the scrolls leading to the opening of the village hidden in Forgotten Time? Yep. Problem now is that she's unaware that her family are the keepers of those scrolls leading up to the village. Oh no, kid, I'm going to sever the connection. I'll explain the details once you escape from them. Naruto once again awakens to find his arms chained to the top of the ceiling and gagged. He looks around to find that what appear to be female members of the Inuzuka clan all staring at him with lust, along with their dogs just staring at him with a killer intent. He was in a room that looks like a conference room held for diplomatic reasons, but now it's become more of a love room rather than a meeting room. I'm not that famous with their dogs knowing I contain the fox. Ho, lucky am I nowadays. Ah, Naru-chan, it's good to see that you're awake and still alive. He looked to his left to find Hana, Kurenai, Tsunade, Sakura, and an Anbu Kunoichi who happens to be Yugao Azuki walking in the room as Hana and Kurenai took one side to the Inuzuka clan and the rest of the Kunoichi to other side. Looks like Naruto is worn out thanks to you, Kurenai. Sakura said. I had to, and I must say that having him retrained really turns me on in many ways, as he was screaming my name begging me for me to stop and take away his pain. she said in both a seductive way and venomous way. I envy you, Yuahi-san, now you've gotten everyone turned on because your confession. Hana said. Naruto looked at every kunoichi in this room. He wasn't going to survive, and from the looks of things, escaping wasn't an option, and enlisting the help of the Kyuubi wasn't helping because that would trigger his exact location of his chakra signature. I'm glad that you're okay, Naru-chan, now let's get down to business. The Godaime said. This is going to be a long night, Naruto thought. All kunoichi from each side of the room were staring at each other, then to the blonde shinobi, as silence was amongst the room, creating tension between the two hostile parties. The blonde, still gagged, half with his pants on, in the middle between the two, didn't like the looks of things that is till Tsunade broke the silence. Alright, let's get down to business. Naruto's the prize and we want to make a deal with the Inuzuka clan. She said. Bullshit, you're well aware that everything you say won't affect us. In fact, the last time you negotiated us is when we were given full authority that we will be the ones handling the massive hunting of any civilian male or shinobi within our surrounding areas. Hana said. That was before we found Naruto, now our negotiations involve his safety from the rest of the women. Sakura said in concern. His safety. In case you haven't noticed that we agreed that every male we find will be subjected to prostitution, slavery, and torment for the rest of their own lives. Sum said. That's insane. Naruto Uzumaki is a human being, one of us, and the container of the Kyuubi no Kitsune. Yugao countered. That's the interesting twist. Why else would we, the Inuzuka clan, want to keep him in order to benefit our dying clan as well? In fact, having the fox spirit inside of him and getting my relatives to bear his children is an interesting mix. We always wanted our bloodline to have a new addition to the clan. Hana said. The fox inside Naruto and your benefits. You don't really care about him after all, that's the whole plan, you whores. Sakura shrieked. Sakura, calm down. Now let's be reasonable, we're doing this for Naruto's sake and for the village's sake. He's a valuable asset to all of us, surely we can have the other clans agree with this. Tsunade said. Hinata would agree with you on this now that she's the head of the Hyuga clan, but what about the branch members? The strongest clan is now reduced to only 10 kunoichi, 5 from both the main and branch family. Kurenai said. So will you comply with us, I mean with Naruto in your grasp? He's already at your mercy as of now. Shizune said. Yes, we will. However, once the repopulation program starts, Naruto will have to make cage bunshins to satisfy our lust. A cage bunshin wouldn't work. Despite its solid figure, the user would have to give up his life force to do that, reducing his lifespan. After all, that jutsu isn't forbidden for nothing. Only the real Naruto would do all the work since he is a human being. Damn. Well, what about the public? Are they given the right to know that we captured a male 3 weeks after the disease spread? That's on my jurisdiction. Now that's it settled, we shall end this meeting with raping Naruto. Don't use the word rape, Tsunade-sama, that sounds wrong. Sakura said. Would it rather be the opposite and have you gagged in front of hundreds of starved men? You have a point, Gomen Tsunade Shisho. Mitsuka removed the tape and his gag off his mouth. Let's see what he has to say about this. Hana ordered. One of the kunoichi removed the tape from the blonde's mouth, leaving him gasping for air. His dark sapphire eyes filled with pain as he looked around the area of the room. He didn't like the look of this, as of now he was going to be receiving another round that's going to last for 4 hours into the night. The chains fell from the ceiling, falling on top of him and collapsing on the floor. He was still recovering from his adventure with the crimson-eyed kunoichi, yet he weakly tried to get away from these starved women who were eyeing him very carefully. Please get away from, I beg of you. I can't take it anymore, just let me go please. He weakly begged. Naruto Gomen, but it's for our benefits and like I've said, you're our slave for life, nothing we can't do about it. Shizune said. The blonde tried to escape by dragging himself but ends up in a corner. The rest of the kunoichi closed in for the kill as they stared at him. Getting undressed and becoming butt right in front of him as Hana went over to him and gave him a kiss on the cheeks. Naru-chan, I'll make sure you have enough energy to last us a long time. She got his neck and lifted him up and slammed him to the table. Her relatives took the initiative and were waiting for the call. Enjoy, my fellow nieces and relatives, because he's all yours for tonight. Hana yelled happily. 5 women consisting of Mana Inuzuka, a short-haired around 5 feet 3 kunoichi with a small figure but nice-shaped, Sakuya, a long blue-haired kunoichi with an awesome 4-pack along with a fantastic body, Kin Inuzuka, a kunoichi with 2 ponytails on each sides with beautiful rose hair that burns like a passion just like her body. Katsuya Inuzuka, a brunette that was trained exclusively by Shizune with a light tan and impressive figure. Last but not least is Matsumoto Inuzuka, a tall 5 feet 9 orange-haired kunoichi whose dog skills along with the rest of her sister's body match all and is the next ice queen of Konoha. I hate describing OC, use your imagination. 5 of the kunoichi straddled him down as Matsumoto ripped his pants off and started kissing him, leaving Katsuya, Mana, and Sakuya sucking away on his manhood. Naruto was too weak and hadn't eaten a lot since his arrival here at Konoha. Kin sucked on Naruto's neck trying to draw some blood out of him with Matsumoto kissing the life out of him. The blonde wasn't sure if he should feel so much pleasure or pain as he stared at the ceiling with no feeling or emotion. Girls, I think he's going to come, gather around. Sakuya said. All 5 girls huddled around his manhood as he climaxed spraying his load on some of the Inuzuka kunoichi. Hana, Kurenai, Tsunade, Shizune, Yugao, and Sakura watch in amusement as they heard him moan so loud that it gave them a weak feeling between their legs. Tsunade, Sakura and Shizune were staring at the blonde's eyes. His blue sapphire orbs were so lifeless that the stage to mindless slavery was already beginning. The cherry blossom couldn't stand to see Naruto raped like this, even though it was a benefit for Konoha's future. She heard from Shizune that he wanted to do her out of love and not for lust. Naruto, you still love me even though my fellow comrades are out there trying to make you to a mindless slave. It's no wonder you tried to save it for me. Why you actually love me all along. I was a fool to love Sasuke because of his quest for power, and now I know where my heart belongs to. She thought solemnly. Hey Matsumoto, is he still hard? Kin asked. Yep, he's all ready. Remember ladies, if you feel something or see him screaming that he's going to come, then that's when you received his child. Now let's get this started. Mana was the first to ride the blonde shinobi up and down. She wanted to make this more exciting by moaning loud and panting, making the moment hot and exciting as she rode him up and down. Naruto was once again in pleasure pain as he moans loud. Once again the feeling was exhilarating. Most of the time Naruto felt her tight, but now it was short-lived. Naruto gave in too quickly to Mana's rocking hard body. Ah, I'm going to come. He yelled. Mana felt that sensation she was begging for. She fell on top of Naruto's rock-hard chest. He felt something soft touching his chest as he was continuing to stare at the ceiling. Pant, wow, that's exciting. Who would have thought Naruto Uzumaki was this good? At least I'm going to bear his pups now for the sake of Konoha. Hey, whoever's ready, go now. He's still hard, I think. The kunoichi watch in amazement after their little adventure. Hana went over and started caressing Naruto's head. You see ladies, he's all good for us to do. Hell, I'm not even sure if he's on or not as of now. The rest of the Inuzuka kunoichi took their time as they straddled themselves on the blonde for another round of. Sakura could only watch in horror as he heard screams of pleasure coming from Naruto, while Tsunade, Kurenai, Yugao, Shizune and the rest of kunoichi Anbu outside heard watch action go on till midnight. 5 hours later, the 5 Inuzuka kunoichi had big smiles on their faces. They drained Naruto of every bit of energy he had to give, and frankly he was already unconscious 1 hour ago, except that no one noticed except the kunoichi who were watching the heated scene. Sakura was staring at him with contempt in her eyes. He's knocked out, isn't he? Tsunade said. Yep, I was amazed that most of the Inuzuka women took their sweet time in enjoying his last bits of energy. Kurenai said. Well, now this concludes our meeting. So who's going to watch over Naruto? Sum said. I will, Sum-san. He's my teammate and I promise you I won't allow him to leave. If he does, I'll kill him and drag his body back to Konoha, revive him and screw him for all he's got, she said venomously. Lie. Wow, you're creepy, Sakura-chan. No wonder Naruto likes creepy women. I may have to suggest him to Anko one of these days. Shizune said. That's my girl. I knew you had it in ya. Kurenai said. Anyway, bring him to an empty room where he can sleep on a bed. Sakura, if you let him escape, then you're going to be executed for treason, understand? Yes, Tsunade-sama, I won't let him escape. Sakura said as she saluted to the Godime. Kurenai and Hana both dragged Naruto's unconscious body to a room while the cherry blossom followed. They put him to a room where the window was open to allow fresh air in the room. It also contains a comfortable bed suitable to Naruto's unlikely taste. I'll leave you two alone to go get some food ready for him to regain his energy. With that, Hana left. Sakura was staring at the sleeping blonde. He looked so calm, innocent and hurt it was if she saw the true nature of Naruto's real mask. She wanted to make love to him, to make him feel whole and loved, not like a slave to her female companion's desire. She had faked all that toughness to prove her loyalty to her people. Naruto, please wake up, I want to help you escape from this hell you live in. I beg of you, don't die. With her healing abilities she didn't have enough power to heal his wounds. Problem is now is that she can't heal emotional wounds on the person himself, can do it. Hana came back with a tray filled with a small bowl of barbecue ramen, well-cooked sirloin, a glass of water and some wild rice as a side. She placed the tray on the nightstand and gave Sakura the okay to start her watch. It's 12 am in the morning. I'm going to sleep, okay, so keep a watch on him, okay, and in 4 hours we'll change shift, only it's going to be me and Kurenai watching him. Understood, Hana-san. The Inuzuka left, leaving Sakura and Naruto all alone in the middle of the night as she, the pink-haired Kunoichi, kept her eye on him. She looked back to check her medical pack till Naruto began to wake up once again. SSS, Sakura-chan. He weakly said. Naruto. Oh dear Kami, you're alive. I was so worried about what's going to happen to you when you were gang raped by Hana's relatives. She grabbed onto the blonde like her life depended on him. Shocked, Naruto simply embraced her in a warm, touching hug. Thank you, Sakura-chan. I'm glad you're still alive. What now, Naruto? You know you can escape at any time since it's midnight and everyone is asleep at the time. I know, but right now I'm hungry. Is there something to eat? He asks frantically. The cherry blossom pointed to the tray of food right next to him and didn't hesitate to grab it and scarf down it as if his life depended on the food. Sakura just watched him eat like a pig and laughed at his antics. It's been a long time since she had hard laugh since the disease came and couldn't help but smile once again. After he was finished with his food, Naruto went straight down to business, knowing what his purpose is and how it's related to Sakura's family. Sakura-chan, you know why I have to leave Konoha, don't ya? He said. Why? Why would you leave, Naruto? What's your purpose for leaving the village? Is that important that may end up killing you? She yelled frantically. Sakura-chan, you know I have the Kyuubi, right? She nodded. Well, I'm going to tell you my objective, but it may take a while for you to believe me. Naruto explained his objective and the strange dreams he had. He also mentioned that a hidden village was centered among the Shinobi continent that is rumored to be the village of Forgotten Time. Sakura didn't believe him at first, that is, till he explained in detail about the Celestial Stone and the Celestial Scroll, keys to traveling back to the past and manipulating time and changing what was wrong. That his main objective is to change the past and finding out who's the cause of this disease. An hour later, Sakura took all this information carefully and concluded this. Well, I do love the idea of changing the past and all, but I don't see how this is connected to me. She shrugged. Believe me or not, I have to search your house to see if there's anything missing, or rather there's something underneath that may give me a clue to obtaining those scrolls. I still feel uneasy about this whole changing the past stuff, but after seeing you suffer gives me a good reason why I should help you. So will you go with me to find the village and getting those scrolls to get into the village? He asked. Of course, Naruto. I don't exactly agree with how Tsunade-sama is running the village, but of course. As long as I'm at your side, then I'll make sure that we'll be changing the past and stopping this epidemic. Naruto hugged her even more as he brought his head and gave her a kiss. Sakura just melted into the kiss and simply had one moment together. The feeling of his rubbing against her chest made her feel like straddling him on the bed and him different passionate positions over and over again. I love you, Naruto. I wish I can have with you, but due to the situation that'll have to wait, doesn't it? She said sweetly. Yeah, I love you too, but what are we going to do now, Sakura-chan? My equipment and weapons are gone. I know, Baka. I'll just have to get you out of here, or you may have to perform a henge to buy. Now my house isn't far from here, around half a kilometer from here. I'll go and scout the area. I'll return to give you an update on what's happening. Sakura leapt off the window so that she can scout the village for any signs of trouble. Meanwhile, Naruto got up and see that a fresh pair of clothing was in front of him. He put on a black shirt, dark blue pants that had a 2 kunai pouches on both hips of the pants. He searches the room to find a belt with a medium-sized back with some linings to put some equipment in. Think of Leon's equipment around his waist from Resident Evil 4, except it has a small medic kit and some kunai and shuriken. Naruto was prepped and ready for his journey. Unknowingly, he may have to sacrifice some of his time off to get what he needs if he wishes to have at some point. An hour passed and it was already 2 a.m. in the morning. He saw a silhouette of what came in. Sakura giving him the thumbs up as they get ready to escape. Meanwhile, a shadow lurks in the darkness as she spied on the couple making their forgotten escape into the Haruno household. She was well endowed after hearing such a fairy tale as she began to radio in on HQ. This is WT reporting. Cherry Blossom has betrayed us. The subject is heading to an undisclosed location in Konoha for what appears to be getting these scrolls that may change the past. Impossible, but what you say is true, then this is serious. I'll inform Tsunade-sama on their betrayal. Meanwhile, have all Kunoichi special forces positioned near the border should they escape Konohagakure. Inform all available Anbu Kunoichi to keep surveillance on the couple and have them report on any suspicious activity the blonde and Cherry Blossom are doing. Understood, ma'am. Over and out. A woman with long platinum blonde hair and purple shorts and a short shirt removed the speaker from the Dispatch radio as she was writing her report on the current situation that is going to escalate late at night. She hated to do this, but the loss of Shikamaru was devastating to her. She has no choice now that the new rule in Konoha has been in place and that the enslavement of the surviving males left over in the world. I'm sorry, forehead girl. I won't allow you to escape alive with Naruto even if I have to kill you. As for you, Naruto, your days with that Cherry Blossom bitch is over, she said after getting out a bag that contains shuriken, a pole staff and explosive tags underneath her desk to prepare for combat with her own best friends. Naruto and Sakura made their way across Konoha in the shadows. It was a new moon as much of Konoha was engulfed in darkness. Some of the electricity was broken in subsections of the village, making it harder for most of the women here to see and making it better for the Kunoichi and Naruto search in darkness. Sakura led him to her house near the Hokage Tower. Naruto wasn't surprised at how hard it is to sneak past the entire village knowing his new reputation is now. Alright, we're here now, let me show you around, okay? Normally my mom is up awake searching for any males here, but she's dead asleep. Why is that, Sakura-chan? He asked. I added some knockout pills in her drink when she got back from work. She snickered. I always loved the way you do this to other people, Sakura-chan. You had a mask too, Naruto-kun. I had to pretend to be weak and a fangirl, but I'm the number one when it comes to being a sneak at this. Go with the flow, people. Both shinobi began their search for whatever's in the 2-story household for any clues on the scrolls. Sakura was looking through her mother's bedroom for anything weird relating to what Naruto said about the scrolls. The blonde looked through several books and eventually summoned up 5 Kage Bunchins to help scour the area. After 1 hour, the trio began to give up. Baka, we looked everywhere for those scrolls and all we found was a lousy ancient key. Ma Sakura-chan, just have some faith in me, okay? He said, reassuring his cherry blossom. I would if you would just eep. Sakura tripped over an odd floor marking in the middle which had Naruto looked in suspicion. He used a kunai to cut some of the floor up, revealing to be a basement door never used in a long time. Then it hit him. Sakura-chan, hand me the key, will ya? She handed him the key and opened it. A large spiral stairway leading down scored a goal in Naruto's search for the Haruno scrolls. Well, we never know till we find out what's beneath, unknown till we explore, right, Sakura-chan? You're right, Naruto, let's go. The couple traveled downstairs of the mysterious basement. While walking, torchlights mysteriously lit up on the spiral basement. They continued to walk for 15 minutes. While walking, the pink-haired Kunoichi was curious about what his feelings were now that he's the only male alive. So Naruto, what's your take on this situation? Most males have died and you are the only one that can repopulate Konohagakure. To be honest, Sakura-chan, I have no clue. He said. Oh come on, this is every man's fantasy. Most guys want to have with a lot of women, yet you don't want to. What's your problem? She complained. I guess it's the fair and equal treatment I give to you and several other kunoichi around Konoha. Ero Sennin publishes his books that turn every male into perverts. I guess that's why every female in this village would have dragged you to their bedroom and give you the ride of your lifetime. She giggled. Just as long as I get the chance to get in bed with you, my cherry blossom, I only have eyes for you after all. He gave her a foxy grin, making her blush at the nasty fantasies of feeling the hot blonde's body. Riding him down in where the moonlight shines and having to her hold her by the side as he pushes in her slowly. Sakura just punched him on the shoulder since he gave her that idea. You hentai? Well, as long as we're together now, it would break my heart again if you were raped or coerced to have with the other women again. It would devastate me a lot knowing it's me that you want get in bed with. I'll try, okay, to control myself, Sakura-chan. The two stopped for a brief moment to share a kiss as they continued their adventure down the spiral stairs. About an hour later, the couple reached the bottom as the torches revealed a steel metal door with some scriptures written on the door. The door had weird signs and language that not even he could understand. Sakura, however, understood the language perfectly. Ma Sakura-chan, do you understand what to do and how to open the door? Gulp, yeah Naruto, I understand it perfectly. It's strange though. Well, what does it say? He asked. It says, offer the blood of the demon to a descendant of the Haruno, fusing green chakra shall the door to the past open to all. That sounds easy, let me get my kunai out for a sec while you get some healing chakra out. The blonde pulled out a kunai and slashed across his arm to let out some blood as Sakura prepped her medical chakra and fused it with his blood as he smothered it on the door. The door opened as the lights reveal a sanctuary and an altar in the center. The room was quite large as clocks were among every corner and every inch of the wall. The couple was amazed at how mysterious the room looks. At the center stood what appears to be a large scroll on top of the altar. Naruto and Sakura went over to retrieve the scroll, and as they opened it they were amazed. Sakura-chan, look, it's what I'm talking about. I know Naruto, but what does it mean? She asked. The blonde unravels the scroll, revealing a strange purple jewel fragment falling out and something written. Time shall overcome all, a past unrequited, only descendants of those selected shall they open the village of forgotten time. Scattered are amongst the families of the Miyazaki, Haruno, Sakurazaki, and the Kujimaya containing these sacred scrolls. Withering are amongst the place where is left to overcome, where the water is fresh, the deserted is hot, the cloud darkens all, and the soul is left in the fog. Shall these or any descendants obtain, shall the fragments left amongst the ruins along with the scripture will maiden of time open to all, revealing the village of forgotten time. Sakura just read the writing and looked at it as if she was reading a dumb fairy tale story in linguistic writing. I have no clue what that means for us. She shrugged. What are you talking about, Sakura-chan? It makes perfect sense. You and the rest of these families have clues to the scrolls along with some fragments that'll open up the village hidden in forgotten time. It doesn't. What are they talking about? The places in the scroll. It probably represents the hidden villages on the Shinobi continent. They may have sanctuaries like this containing the scrolls. Since when did you get so smart and aware of all these clues, Naruto? Ero Sennin may be a pervert, but he taught me a lot about wisdom when it comes to understanding life of the shinobi and the ruins of time then. Naruto said. That's unbelievable coming from Jiraiya-sama. Do you have any idea where he is? Sakura asked. Probably dead or out repopulating his own country. I don't know, Sakura-chan. Anyway, we have to leave Konoha and get those scrolls, okay? But where are we going to start first? We can start anywhere, but we have to pick an exact location first. I know exactly where to go. We're going to Sunagakur first to see what's the situation over there. I feel so uneasy about this, but let's get going. Naruto and Sakura got the scroll and exited the sanctuary. As they left, the blonde felt something in his heart and stopped for a brief moment as the cherry blossom looked at him worriedly. Naruto-kun, what's wrong? Sakura asked. I don't know, but I have a bad feeling about getting back to the surface. Let's tread carefully. I have a feeling that something bad's going to happen. Sakura understood what he was saying. Since it was estimated 4 in the morning, she figured that Hana might have alerted the rest of the kunoichi and Anbu to prepare their ambush. In Konoha, I want all available Anbu forces to prepare for the ambush and have the rest of the kunoichi of all ranks to assemble outside the gate if the two were to break through. Anko glared the platinum blonde, who was hastily getting ready for the ambush. Even though she was her best friend, she couldn't help but feel bad to even attack the cherry blossom like that. Ino, are you sure you should do this to your friend? I mean, despite your usual arguments with each other, you two had the best of times since you were little. Times have changed, Anko-san. She may be my friend, but when she betrays us and takes Naruto-chan all for herself really gets me on my nerves. I feel for you. What about Kurenai Ino? Isn't she going to join you? Of course, along with Hana. I don't think Naruto and that cherry blossom whore will stand a chance against us. Yeah, whatever, just make sure you kill her and capture Naruto, conscious or unconscious. It was a mistake to have the Inuzuka clan take hold of him after being too soft on him. The Tokubetsu Jonin said. Understood. I've already informed Hinata and Hanabi on this one, but we have to do this before sunrise, otherwise we would have another riot control. I know. Tsunade wants better treatment for the blonde hunk after all. She had a change of heart right after she read the reports on Naruto's brutal rape scenes that were a two-bit harsh. Anko said. Still, he's a male now that the majority of the population are female, but I agree on our treatment with the males if we capture them. They should feel glad that some of us here are going to treat them nice should they comply with us. I like your attitude, girl. I'm going to report back to the Hokage now. Ino looked at the forces hiding in the shadows. Her Hokage was going to participate on this one. At first she had the whole situation under control, but the busty blonde said that won't be enough to take down Naruto. I'm actually sending an entire army to stop only 2 shinobi. One is my best friend and the other is Uzumaki Naruto, container of the Kyuubi and the son of the Yondaime, the Yellow Flash. How messed up is this? Ino thought. Back to Naruto and Sakura. The couple immediately reached the surface and headed straight outside the house and moved as quickly as possible. Knowing what Sakura's up to means that the ambush has already begun. That is until several kunai and shuriken were aimed at them, nearly dodging it and landing near the entrance to the training grounds. Damn, they got us. Naruto, let's get ready. It looks like they're expecting us from the beginning and are trying to prevent us from escaping. She yelled. Naruto and Sakura stood their ground. The couple prepared their weapons. The blonde got out his specially made blade staff while Sakura got out her katanas. As they looked around the perimeter of the area, 3 figures showed up along with several Anbu kunoichi and other kunoichi from different ranks. The couple was shocked. Out came the group was Tsunade, Ino, and Shizune, all prepared for combat. Sakura Haruno, you are charged with treason for aiding the attempted escape of Uzumaki Naruto. Now hand him over to us and you shall be granted amnesty and be forgiven for your actions. Tsunade said. I won't, he's not our plaything, he a human being with natural rights and my husband. I'm sorry, Sakura, but you must die for your actions, bitch. Ino yelled. Ino threw a kunai directly at Sakura's heart. Instead, Naruto went right in front of her and deflected the kunai using his hands. I won't allow anyone to hurt my Sakura-chan. Ino-chan. If you're going to kill her, then I have no choice but to kill you. Ahahahahaha, how can you do that if you're surrounded and can't even defend yourself? Ino laughed. The blonde sensed every chakra signature around the area. He was surrounded and outnumbered. Sakura, knowing how this is going to turn out, knew she couldn't win. If she said that to Naruto, he would get mad at her for losing hope. We may be outnumbered, but that doesn't mean I can still have a shot at you three. I'm leaving Konoha for something big and I won't allow anyone to interfere with my mission. Naruto said. Naru-chan, understand this, that some of us are doing this for your sake, okay? Shizune said. If I were to tell you what my objective is, then not all of you wouldn't help me. Well, some, but after what I've been through, I can barely trust anyone here. In fact, most of you are doing this for your sake to prove how much power you have, but have you ever considered thinking about how much I feel? I wouldn't mind having to repopulate Konoha, but being mistreating me like that wouldn't get you nowhere. I have a better way of changing things and I won't allow anyone to get in my way. What makes it so important rather than be in a large room full of hot women to impregnate? Ino yelled. Something that helped benefit all of us once I've achieved that goal, though you probably won't remember in time. Naruto said. Naruto knew that this was a foolish thing to say. With no protection over his body, light equipment, and Sakura as her ally, this makes escaping a lot harder. If only we had more people at my side to help me, I could just escape without having to neither fight the strongest kunoichi Konoha has nor the most deadly. This is bad for me. How can I protect Sakura if I can't even hold my ground to protect myself? Naruto thought. Outnumbered and surrounded, the odds of escaping without a fight were a lot higher than escaping with a fight. As escaping with a fight were by chance on how powerful Konoha's kunoichi were. After all, the males died. Naruto had his spear staff ready and Sakura had her katana ready, looking around as the couple sensed every chakra signature around. Naruto had an idea to confuse them. Or at least try to stall some time and get the initiative. Wow, I'm amazed at how you're able to assemble your kunoichi well, Tsunade Obachan. Naruto said. Well, if you were smarter, then you'd know that we're desperate to be the most powerful village to repopulate faster. Tsunade said. If you were desperate, then obviously you would rather succumb to my rock-hard abs, he said, earning him a slight punch from the sides from his cherry blossom. What the hell are you trying to say, Naruto? Sakura yelled. The blonde whispered something in her ear that earned the cherry blossom a blush and a quiet protest. Naruto put his spear staff on the ground as prepares his attack. Taking his shirt off, revealing a chiseled body, and did some hand seals. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Orioke no Jutsu. He yelled. Is that how you say it? Smoke poofed in the air to reveal at least 20 half Naruto's circle, the couple puffing their abs, making them more defined and a lot chiseled, with the original Naruto puffing his abs out at the same time. Hey ladies, how would you like a taste worth dying for? All Naruto said in a deep voice. This insane but funny techniques had every kunoichi, including Tsunade, Shizune, Ino, even Sakura, blushing. Naruto grinned as looked at every kunoichi from different ranks and eventually heard the sounds he hadn't heard in a long time, mostly from his fellow males. Gah! Blood splurted out from nearly half the kunoichi army, passing out from too much heat and nosebleeds coming from one defined blonde shinobi. Tsunade, Shizune, Ino, the Anbu Noichi, and Sakura both had nosebleeds, still blushing embarrassingly at the sight of his defined looks. Naruto, what the hell was that? Sakura said while trying to put tissues in her nose. Now's your chance, Sakura-chan, let's attack. He said. Sakura got the picture as she attacked Ino without warning, giving a punch to the gut, eventually knocking the platinum blonde out instantly thanks to Tsunade's monstrous strength. What the hell did she do? Shizune yelled. Naruto diminished his bunshins and began attacking the Anbu kunoichi. He hated to attack his own people and knew it was purely wrong to attack women. He had no choice. If he was mistreated like dirt, then he wouldn't take this chance to be the one to repopulate the country. Kit, please let me out. I wanna slash up those whores who treated you like a slave. Kyuubi Disparatelt said. Not on your life, you fox whore. How do I know that you might be the one to chain me up in your cage after you finish them off? Naruto yelled. You're no fun, all I wanted was to have with you. She pouted. That'll wait till I'm safe and until you explain more in detail about Ceres and the village hidden in Forgotten Time. Fine, I better get some of your flesh if I gave you all the information you desired. You will, but time will tell. Okay, Kyuubi. Naruto continued his assault as he knocked out 4 Anbu Kunoichi and continued his assault. Sakura meanwhile was on par Tsunade's strength as he was locked in a struggle of who has the better strength. I always knew you were going to betray me after we found Naruto in his bedroom. Tsunade growled. I'm sorry, Tsunade-sama, but I won't allow stand by and allow my boyfriend to get raped while we all watch in awe and for the entertainment. Sakura said. I hate to say it, but it looks like your days are over. Shizune, now's the time, call them out. Understood, Tsunade-sama. Sorry, Naruto-kun, but it looks like it's over. Shizune said. Naruto was confused by what she meant as he knew it all too well at what's going to happen next. A barrage of explosive tags came out of nowhere, hitting the surrounding areas that Naruto and Sakura occupied and sending them straight to a wall, injuring them on impact as Tsunade backed away at quick glance. Getting up, Naruto blinked 1 second to find himself tangled in vines and had arms holding him down. Crap, genjutsu, and I know who exactly set his up. Naruto yelled in desperation. Evidently he forgot how to dispel genjutsu and had a hard time getting out of this. Sakura could only watch in shock as she saw him suffering in horror. She looks around to find themselves surrounded as they closed in for the kill. She saw Kurenai, Hana, Anko, and Tenten leading the pack that led them to the wall of the Hokage monument. It looks we got them surrounded, Kurenai-chan. Hana said. I knew we couldn't trust that pink-haired bitch, now I want to torment her for having my slave escape my wrath. Kurenai said. The genjutsu widow went over to the injured cherry blossom, lifted her up by the shirt and slapped her. Being injured, all she could is grunt in pain from Kurenai's attack. You have a lot of nervain helping my slave escape my wrath, bitch. After I'm done tormenting you to death, I'm going to have my slave go through another one of my helpings to make sure he's well weak-minded. Naruto's not a mindless slave, he's a human being and my soulmate. Sakura cried out. Kurenai, this isn't part of the plan. All we had to do is injure them and restrain them, foe. I know what's the plan. Anko, you have no right to tell me what to say or what to not do to my slave. Have you any clue what I've been through ever since Asuma and my baby boy died thanks to that disease? All the Kunoichi couldn't forget her mental breakdown. In fact, it all happened too well now that the new Kurenai had a mission. A mission so disgusting, that she made one Kunoichi her mindless slave in a matter of minutes, and the results were disturbing enough to have that Kunoichi killed on sight. Tenten could only watch the scene going on as she went over to Naruto and dispelled the genjutsu, rendering him exhausted. As reality came, the blonde finds himself injured by the blast and finds his Sakura-chan being injured by his mentally insane rapist Yuichi Kurenai. You bitch, let go of my Sakura-chan. He yelled as he attempted to get up and shove her, only to be knocked overhead with a pole staff exclusively by Tenten. Falling to the ground bleeding as he struggled to get up, but his injuries took its toll on him. Kurenai just smirked at seeing the blonde struggle to free the cherry blossom. He truly loved her and was willing to give up his life despite how many females needed a male like him to repopulate the country and to fill in an empty spot their loved ones departed that day. Kurenai-chan, looks like you go competition and it ain't going to be easy. Anko said. Shouldn't you be focusing on getting out those restraints you had earlier? Tenten said. It doesn't matter, he powerless now that we got his Sakura-chan. The genjutsu mistress smirked as she looked at those emerald eyes rivaling her ruby eyes. She hated her and began smacking her and eventually pounding her to ground. Naruto watched in horror as his love was being beaten down. She didn't deserve this, only he did, but to him Sakura-chan was his first priority and needed her help if his mission was going to go through. Stop please Kurenai-hime, I beg of you stop. Please don't injure Sakura-chan, she doesn't deserve this kind of treatment, only I do. I beg of you from the bottom of my heart, I'll give myself up, just please don't kill Sakura-chan. He yelled, pleaded, as tears came out from his sapphire eyes staring at Kurenai's ruby eyes. Most of the kunoichi around him never seen or heard a male cry in desperate plea for his loved one. The one thing they've never seen in their lives was true love that binds two lovers together for eternity. NNN Naruto, don't give yourself up for my sake, I'm okay ow. Sakura said reassuringly. ICCC can't Sakura-chan, I don't know what I'll do if anything bad happened to you. He cried. The Genjutsu mistress threw Sakura against the wall and went over to Naruto and picked him up by the collar as she stared at him. She stared at him for 1 second, then she kissed him, slipping her tongue in the blonde's mouth and having him submit to the kiss. The kunoichi, however, could watch in deperation as the kiss went on, knowing they wanted some action, but looking at the couple was like torture, knowing they wanted to get in bed with the hot blonde. You're quite brave, my blonde slave. To think you wanted to get in bed with that cherry blossom whore has gotten me quite interested, and another reason why I should have you obey my every command. I'll do anything, just let her go please, I don't want her to suffer again, all thanks to my arrogant ways. Naruto pleaded. Just as they were about to continue, multiple flash bombs appear as two figures clad in white and gray clothing jumped right in front of the couple. One girl with long black hair used her palm to strike at Kurenai's foot, while the other girl with long lavender hair reaching down to her butt got the injured Sakura up and headed straight for the exit. At that exact moment, the girl that had knocked out Kurenai's footing grabbed Naruto by the collar and began to drag him to the exit of Konoha and into the woods. The action happened so fast that Konoha's top kunoichi were caught off guard and temporarily blinded for 5 minutes. Tsunade was furious that not only did those two kunoichi aided his escape and that the explosion was loud, the female civilians were wondering what the explosion was. Damn those two. Naruto, I will get you back to Konoha and I'll make sure you get better treatment. I just wish you would see your own people for who you really are, but it's not going to happen now that all the males have died from that disease. Tsunade thought sadly. The Godime called the rest of the remaining forces to retreat for now, knowing how suspicious things might get from here on out. At an undisclosed location, Sakura and Naruto both sustained slight explosion injuries. Sakura had a light bruise on her right cheek while she had cuts and slight burn marks on her arms, legs, and her forepack. Naruto had suffered the most injuries thanks to the stab marks and explosion damage. Thanks to the Kyuubi's healing abilities, he was able to stay alive and was truly free. Not exactly free, as the two stared at the cloaked individuals and vice versa. Who are you two, and if you're working for Tsunade and the rest of the kunoichi, then you're about to get it in for a real mess. Relax Blondie Oni-san, and I rescued your sorry, so be grateful. The girl said. Hanabi-chan, do you have to be so mean to them? Well, can't blame you if you had father's attitude after all. Naruto said as he realized who he was talking with. Hanabi-chan. Wait, you guys are. The two cloaked individuals revealed themselves to be Hinata Hyuga and Hanabi Hyuga. Naruto could only blush at the beauty he was looking at radiating from those two sisters. Hinata wore a sleeveless gray low-cut shirt revealing a lot cleavage but not enough to be topless, short black pants that reached close to her knees. The same waist pack that Naruto had, only Hinata's pack had more supplies for camping and long black-blue hair that reached her butt, along with those mysterious white eyes that were staring at him. Hanabi's clothing showed more skin than her elder sister. She had a sleeveless low-cut black unbuttoned jacket carrying some kunai and shuriken, revealing her chest, which had a black bra unclipped in the front. A sword around her back, hair tied up giving her a ponytail, and short shorts that would have every man drooling if they were alive. Sakura, seeing Naruto's trance, was jealous. The Hyuga sisters were but enough to have Naruto in a trance and blushing at the same time. Just as she was about to break the silence, Hinata was the first to break the silence. Like what you see, Naru-chan? She asked. The blonde moved around to get away from staring at the Hyuga women. Then he realized that those two saved them from becoming a mindless slave once again, and he was grateful along with a furious cherry blossom that they escaped Konoha and began their adventure to retrieve the scrolls. Thanks Hinata-chan, Hanabi-chan, if it hadn't been for you that I would have been turned to a mindless slave once again. As he continued to speak, Hinata went out of her way, hugged Naruto like he was her savior. She was crying on his chest. She knew all about him being raped by multiple women and how Naruto was slightly beaten to satisfy their lusts. Sob, it must have been horrible for you, Naru-chan, to have been raped and tormented like someone's doll. I wish I could do something to heal your pain. Hinata cried as she held on to him. Naruto earned himself a blush at how big her have gotten, and her personality has changed in 3 years. Since when did Hinata-chan and Hanabi-chan become goddesses? Are all the kunoichi I know are like them in 3 years? He thought. I'm alright, Hinata-chan, I appreciate your concern, and I'm also grateful that you saved me and Sakura-chan from Tsunade Obachan's wrath. How could I ever repay after what you've done for us? He said. Then, will you take me then? Me, as if you really needed in your leaf. Hinata was knocked to the side thanks to a fuming cherry blossom. The two were staring at each other with a killer intent in both kunoichi's minds. You bitch Don, think you're looking for all because of your kind generosity. Sakura yelled. Well Haruno, if you weren't that fixed on Sasuke yet, then why did you choose Naruto then? Hinata asked. That Uchiha bastard is dead. He never cared for someone so beautiful like me, and all Naruto did at the time was treating me like a goddess from heaven. Bitch, I should have killed you when I had the chance, but now me and my sister are stuck with you and Naru-chan here. She winked at the blonde, earning him a blush in every shade. Seeing the tension created by the two kunoichi puts Naruto in a very bad spot, and knew he was the only one to stop them from ripping each other's throats out. Okay you two, I think it's time to stop this and head out to Sunagaku. Hinata, Hanabi, once we're as far away from Konoha, I'll explain to you the situation and what we need to do to change things around a bit. Now let's get going, I don't want to be captured by Tsunade once again. The three nodded and headed out once again on their adventure to Sunagaku. Knowing how dangerous the journey might be, the only question is, will the kunoichi of Haruno Sakura, Hinata and Hanabi Hyuga control themselves from slamming Naruto to the ground and riding him till he dried up and bearing his child. Back in Konoha. Damn it, I knew we shouldn't have trusted those Hyuga pricks in the first place. Anko yelled. The kunoichi of Tsunade, Hana, Yugao, Shizune, Kurenai, and Tenten were at the Hokage office after an ambush gone wrong and a complete failure. It can't be that bad, Anko-chan. After all, my slave has gotten away strong and. Kurenai said. Kurenai-san, you changed. To think that blonde male is nothing more than a replacement to you rather than a toy to be dried up. Enough. Anyway, now you know how was the interrogation on the rest of the Hyuga. Tsunade said. Don't worry a thing, they refused to give up information and rather die so freely, so as they say. So I gave them their judgment and killed them. Ino said, letting it all slip out, giving everyone the message. Damn it, the only Hyugas alive are Hanabi and Hinata now that the strongest clan is decimated. Okay, time to switch gears. Naruto has escaped from our grasps, and according to our intelligence they are heading to Sunagaku. Why there's Tsunade-sama, isn't Tamari the cage of that village, and why would Naruto go there of all places? Is it to stay away from us, or is it something else? Saizune asked. That moment when Naruto mentioned his journey that'll affect the entire Shinobi nation, and change everything forever possible in every single way, yet he wasn't specific. I don't like this, I'm starting a retrieval mission. I want Shizune, Anko, Kurenai, and Hana to capture Naruto. Use whatever attraction and seduction techniques in the books to get him to come back, and I mean anything as long as you don't anger him and or provoke him. If you do, I'll make sure your experience will turn into a nightmare. All the kunoichi shuddered. Anko was desperate for with the blonde shinobi, as so was every other kunoichi. Kurenai hungers for more, as she still wasn't over her experience. So Tsunade-sama, when do we leave? You four leave as soon as possible. She said. The four left the office and gathered their equipment for their own personal journey. They were well aware of the dangers the four possessed by leaving Konoha and retrieving Naruto. The one thing they weren't expected to do is what measure and what kind of clothing they would need to persuade Naruto to coming back. Somewhere near a calm river in grass country 5 hours later 10 o'clock. Naruto, Sakura, Hinata, and Hanabi were resting at a riverside near a small waterfall leading up to a mountain. Their journey was tiring as they set up camp to rest and recover from their ambush back in Konoha. Hey Sakura-chan, I'm going to go take a bath near the waterfall. Okay, you three set up camp while I go get a bath. I smell like since they didn't bother giving me a bath. Why is Naruto? You should help out as well. Sakura, if you hadn't realized Naruto's recovering from his attacks and his emotional wounds after being raped by Kurenai and half the Inuzuka clan. Hanabi said. Whoops, forgot about that. Go ahead Naruto, I didn't realize how much pain you've been through. It's okay Sakura-chan, I understand, so later you three. He gave him a foxy grin as he got his towel and went over to the waterfall, leaving Hinata, Hanabi, and Sakura to set up camp and lunch for the four of them to eat. Hinata had gotten the blankets set up and the emergency clothing she had taken with her. Hanabi and Sakura were fishing for fresh cod and trout in the riverside. Feeling generous, Hinata and Hanabi decided to go out to the forest to look for something. Hey Sakura, me and Hanabi will be going out for something interesting, so keep an eye out for anything suspicious, okay? Hinata said. Sure, no problem girls, I'll see you two later then. Sakura said. As she saw the Hyuga sisters head out to the forest, the Cherry Blossom got a wicked idea. She got undressed and picked up a towel covering her body as she headed out to check up on Naruto to see if he was okay. She arrived at his location to find the blonde's back facing her as he was washing himself. The blonde moved his hands, removing the grime and the dry blood he had from the ambush. His chiseled body was gorgeous to her. She needed him and wanted to have with him after all he had been through since their genin years. She slowly went over to him after removing the towel covering her body, revealing a cherry blossom with a hot body that rivals Anko and Kurenai's as she wrapped her arms around his body and hugged him. Shocked, Naruto finds a pair of arms wrapped around his body and something squishy in his back. He looks around to find Sakura embracing him in desperation. Naruto, no Sakura-chan, it's okay, I needed comfort and I'm glad you're here by my side. He said softly. Oh Naruto. Naruto turned around and kissed her, grabbing her hands as they were locked to each other. The feeling of the kiss was pure and passionate, that the couple was embracing each other as their hands roamed their backs. Butterfly kisses after another, including French kiss. The blonde slowly went down to her and began licking them, fondling them. Her weren't as big as Tsunade's, but a C cup to D was perfect for him. Naruto moaned, please make love to me, I need you so much. She yelled. He sucked on each of her large, licking her and playfully biting her as his kisses went straight down to her. Water continued to cascade the couple as Naruto started eating her, licking on it and sticking his tongue inside her, giving the cherry blossom a scream of pleasure. She held on to the blonde's hair as she pushed him in deeper inside her folds, licking her cherry and her sensitive spot of her. Oh Naruto, you're so good. Oh yeah, come one baby deeper, push your tongue in me deeper. Naruto pushed his tongue inside her moist while sticking in 2 fingers inside her, giving her something to yell at. Unexpectedly she came, smothering her juices onto his face. The blonde got up slowly to give his cherry blossom to taste her own juices as they kissed. Now that I came for you, now it's time to suck on that thick rod of yours of been quite some time, Naru-chan. She purred as she slowly bent down, giving him butterfly kisses and down to meet his manhood. He was hard and long, pretty big at around 10 inches. She started sucking on his manhood, moving up and down while she massaged his balls, coating her saliva with his manhood. Naruto felt like heaven. Unlike with Kurenai and Hana nor her relatives, the blonde felt more at ease as his manhood was sucked on gently and with much pleasure than pain. He wasn't going to last soon, and Sakura knew it. She was practically a natural at giving Naruto the best pleasure he hadn't felt in a long time. Sakura-chan, I'm going too. Ah. Strings of white fluids came right at the cherry blossom's face. She wiped some of the cum off her face and took it in her mouth, swallowing it. She got up and cupped his face as she kissed him. The blonde was still hard after her attack on his manhood, knowing that it's time to do it. Naruto, I need you, so give it all you got, fill my with that thick rod of your and ravish me like you've never done it before, she said seductively, giving him the message that the real fun starts. The blonde spun her around, got his manhood, shove it inside her, earning him a yelp from the cherry as he pushed his manhood in a rough way. He started her under a waterfall as sounds of moaning and screaming was heard. Naruto increased his pace her hard. On Naruto Okami, yeah, just like that, harder, harder, harder. Sakura yelled. Naruto increased his pace and wrapped his arms around her waist, bringing her closer to his body. Sakura bent her head up and wrapped her arms around his neck, looked to her right to kiss Naruto as he was her hard. Their time was short as the blonde was about to come. Sakura-chan, I'm going to ahhhhhhhhhhhhhhhhhhhhhhhhhhhhhhhhhhhhhhhhhh. The blonde came inside her, holding on to her and lying down on the rocky ground. Sakura turned around, wrapped around her arms around his neck for another passionate makeout session. Gasp, can't believe we had in the morning, some journey this is turning out to be. Sakura-chan, he said. Yeah, glad I took the pill, otherwise I wouldn't be helpful to you knowing that I'm pregnant with your child. She said, laying down on his chest, holding his hands. Well, at least we can rest for some 4 hours till we head out to Suna. Yeah, you wanna know the one thing I like about you in bed? What is it, Sakura-chan? He asked. You're fantastic when it comes to. I've never felt so good in my entire life. No wonder the Kurenai, Hana and the rest of her cousins had a good time. Sakura said happily. Hey, this fox container has a lot of energy to have me going for 5 hours. He sneered, giving her a foxy grin. If I hadn't healed you from exploding and rendering it useless. The Kyuubi said. Whatever, and it looks like I haven't had my way with you, is that right? Damn straight. I take back about our agreement and have you figure things out on your own, blondie. Kyuubi said. Hey, never will at least heal me if you wish to live longer. Likewise. The fox demon said. Alright, Sakura-chan, let's head back to camp and eat something good. Okay, I need to put some clothes after this bath we've been in. The couple had gotten out of the waterfall, dried up and put on some clothing before going back to camp. Little did they know that two hot white-eyed kunoichi were drooling at the couple's adventures under a waterfall. Hinata and Hanabi were watching them have under a waterfall. The fact that they're jealous that Naruto gave Sakura the best of her life meant one thing: Naruto's their man for the taking. Let's head back, Hanabi. I may lose control if we stay here longer. Hinata said. The two departed and headed straight back to camp to breakfast and rest up before they head out to Sunagakur before nightfall. At the campsite, Naruto, Sakura, Hinata, and Hanabi all ate some breakfast that consisting miso soup and grilled fish meat. Tension increased once again as the three were sending killer intents at each other. Once again Naruto felt that tension but chose to ignore it, knowing how bad the situation is going to be if he was involved. Then he was reminded that he has to explain his reasoning to Hinata and Hanabi, what he and Sakura has to do in order to get back what is lost. Hinata-chan, Hanabi-chan, I think it's time to know why I'm going on a journey instead of repopulating Konoha, and I think you'll find it very interesting. Why is that, Naruto-kun, now that we're in forest where no one is watching or spying on us? Alright, then here it goes. You see, I kept on having these strange dreams about some girl trying to look for the strange village hidden in forgotten time. Naruto continued. I was confused at the time till the Kyuubi explained to me who this is and how it's related. Ceres is the cage for the village hidden in forgotten time. She has the ability to change the past and find out what caused a worldwide conflict that has plunged everyone in chaos. I've never heard of such village, Naruto-kun. Are you sure you're telling the truth? Hanabi said. I'm sure of it. In fact, the introduction we got from this scroll. The blonde showed the large scroll to them. In fact, it's also another reason why Sakura-chan is a part of this journey and why she's with me. The Hyuga women read through the long scroll to better understand what this means. Hinata was shocked that she wasn't connected to this due to the fact that the Haruno family played a vital role in maintaining eternal peace by means of manipulating the past. I get the idea, Naruto-kun, but how are we to find the village if it doesn't show where to look? Hinata asked. If you've read it carefully, each of these riddles have temples or sanctuaries that contain the scrolls and their fragments. According to the scriptures, these places mean the hidden villages in the Shinobi nation. I'm guessing it's not going to be as simple as pie, knowing how a lot of women are desperate to look for males as hot as you, Naruto-chan. Hinata said. Shut it, Hinata. He's mine and I won't share him to you Hyuga bitches. Sakura said. Anyway, we have no choice but to head out to those hidden villages and find those scrolls along with their fragments. According to the Kyuubi series, the Maiden of Time had two important items that were the key to changing the past and manipulating it: the Celestial Stone and the Celestial Scroll. These items are the ultimate tool for our use. Problem is just locating any members of the divided families or clans if you call it to change, or rather go back to the past and change the faults that happen. So I'm asking you this, Hinata. Hanabi, will you help me? He said. The Hyuga sisters thought about this dangerous situation for a minute. Knowing Hanabi and Naruto's stalker Hinata, they wouldn't pass up this chance to help him out. At least bear his children and start a big family involving them and the pink-haired bitch in the mix. Alright, we accept the deal, only if Sakura-tem doesn't interfere whenever I flirt with you or get onto you, Naruto-chan. Hinata said happily. Whaaaaaaatt. Sakura yelled, getting her fists ready to beat the shit out of the Hyuga heiress. I'll go with you, Naruto-kun, just to make sure I keep those two from gang raping you. Hanabi said in a calm voice. Thanks, Hanabi-chan, at least I'll be able to keep them from ripping each other's throats out. The blonde nervously said. The four could only laugh at this calm and peaceful moment. On the other hand, Sakura, Naruto, Hanabi, and Hinata continued to eat their breakfast before heading out to Sunagaku for one of Naruto's daring journey to retrieve the scrolls of the two segregated families. On the other hand, it was also a test of hormones, as three goddesses for Kunoichi could hold down temptation to have with Naruto. Well, then we should head out to Sunagaku, everyone. Let's get going. Naruto said happily. He wasn't dreaming. Really, he wasn't dreaming. Naruto Uzumaki awakens to find himself in beautiful hilltop fields surrounded by trees of cherry blossoms fluttering to the wind's rhythm, making the scenery a lot magnificent and feel at peace. He realized he was wearing no clothing except his shorts, but no boxers underneath it. Sugoi, is this heaven or what? This place feels wonderful now. This is what I always wanted to be in, a place surrounded by cherry blossoms. He got up and continued walking down the hillside of the field, looking around the area and admiring its beauty. He was really in heaven. As he continued walking, the blonde skipped a heartbeat and saw two beautiful maidens picking flowers off the cherry blossom fields. One of the women was a fiery red-headed woman with a one-piece dress covering her body across from her right shoulder down to her waist. I'm talking about those grease-white garments in the past, except that she has no panties. In fact, both women are wearing that. A magnificent body, two fox tails coming out from her bottom and a large bust, a nice smile. Naruto was mesmerized not only by her but by the other woman. Wearing the same piece, her pink hair swaying to the rhythm of the wind as she was happily picking flowers and playing with her friend, average bust and a nice body, Naruto was drooling. As soon as he continued to walk closer, he realized who he was staring at. The two women finds a hot blonde looking at them. Smiling perversely, two instantly looked at each other and kept on staring at him. Naruto got closer and realized who he was staring at: Sakura Haruno and the Kyuubi no Kitsune in her human form. I'm going to call the Kyuubi Kitsune for now. Bear with it. SSSS Sakura-chan. Kyuubi-chan. He yelled. Hello Naruto-kun, do you like what you see? Sakura asked sweetly. You two are gorgeous, Sakura-chan, and you Kyuubi-hime. He stuttered. Kyuubi, or rather Kitsune, blushed at his term. She was magnificent in her own ways, yet without her best friend Sakura at her side she was lonely. Then an idea hit her head. The scenery was nice and they had the field all to themselves, so there was no shame to have in the field. There's no shame in doing it here, might as well ask. Naruto-kun, I'm so horny, how would you like to have with us? After all, we're lonely and there's no other male to talk or have a fling. She said seductively, looking at the blonde all flustered and red as a cherry tomato. Naruto loved the idea. Still wearing only his shorts and no clothing at all, he went up to Kitsune and kissed her. He gave so much passion to that kiss that she was horny and beyond. They continued lip-locking, leaving the cherry blossom alone to watch. She wanted him but decided to join in on the fun by coming up behind him, wrap her arms around his waist and unbutton his shorts and caressed his manhood. The blonde moaned by a pair of hands stroking his balls and caressing his manhood. He realized that Sakura had removed his shorts and began her attack on his manhood by stroking it. He didn't mind but continued to give butterfly kisses to Kitsune. He removed the gown she had on, revealing two large busts that had the blonde craving for something soft. He went on sucking her right while his right hand was kneading the other. Kitsune couldn't take this feel and plopped down on the grass. Disappointed but licking his lips, he spread her legs and smelled the musk coming from Kitsune's as he started licking her like a dog in desperate need for water. Sakura took her hands off his manhood, and went over to Kitsune's face. Smirking, she got over on top of her face and bent down, allowing Kitsune eat her as good as she wants. The red-haired beauty couldn't determine how she felt, since she was eating the pink-haired woman's or having a soft wet tongue inside her along with two fingers just rubbing her core. It was hell in an erotic way as she muffled in pleasure. Along with Sakura, she couldn't take this anymore and came at the same time. MMMFHHHGGHH AHIFFHH. The blonde felt her juices splatter his face, licking it off the juices Kitsune had when she came. Sakura also came, allowing the red-haired beauty to drink it all in. The cherry blossom got off her and stared at Naruto at what's coming next. Both women smirking went up to Naruto, still sitting as he spread his legs, allowing room for both women to taste his large manhood. Wow, Naruto-kun, you're huge. I don't think I'll be able to put all that in my mouth. Kitsune said. Well, better give it a shot. I bet both you two would love how I would taste as much as eating you till I hear you screaming my name. Naruto said. Both women blushed as each of them took turns sucking on his manhood. The blonde was in bliss of paradise just seeing Kitsune licking his balls and Sakura giving head on his manhood. He couldn't help but moan, at the same time help thinking if this is a dream or reality. Wow, this has to be my heaven, especially if you're surrounded by a field of flowers surrounded by cherry blossom trees. Speaking of cherry blossom, Sakura now used her tongue to lick the slit of Naruto's manhood very slowly. Naruto couldn't help moan loud at this. It felt like he was in pleasure hell. At the sight of this, Kitsune became hungry, and began to suck on his manhood a lot harder and coat it with her saliva. The blonde tried to hold it but was too late as he came, spreading his seed right in front of their faces after their long but short-lived experience at his manhood being sucked by two goddesses. Wow, you three are amazing. I don't know what to say by all this. He breathed, tired by what Kitsune and Sakura had did. Smirking, Sakura went on to Naruto and gave him a passionate kiss. You know, Naruto, it would be a lot better if you had your thick rod erupt inside me. I would definitely go for it all, she said seductively. Getting the picture, Naruto pushed Sakura to the ground and got on his knees. Kitsune went on top of Sakura and began to lip-lock with Sakura. The cherry blossom wrapped her arms around her as does Kitsune touches her with hands roaming each other's back. Naruto, seeing this hot Yuri action, decides to join in on the fun. The blonde spread Sakura's legs as he inserted his manhood inside her, at the same time inserted two fingers inside Kitsune's. Sakura moaned along with Kitsune as the blonde began and finger the two. The blonde went at a slow pace when he finds Sakura to be very tight inside. Once he was used to it, he increased his pace while fingering Kitsune at a rapid pace. MHHGHHFHHGHHFHHGHH Mon on Narong GFG to Kun your fantastic harder please. Sakura begged and so he did with much intensity. He stopped and inserted his manhood inside Kitsune and began rocking her world. The red-haired beauty couldn't help but roar in pleasure as her walls coated his thick rod. The pure bliss of passion and lust that surrounded the three has made it so hot that they could spend an eternity. The blonde took turns Sakura and Kitsune one by one so that the two women can enjoy the pleasures of a thick rod inside them. Getting bored, Naruto grabbed Kitsune's waist, got up, lifted her up and spread her legs with her back facing him. He bends his knees so that the red-haired beauty can semi-sits while he inserted his manhood inside her. Once again she roared with being in a tempting position. Only this time it was fast and exhilarating. Ah hoag ghh. Moan, dear Kami you're so big please harder, harder. He increased his pace. He felt like coming soon but wanted to save his energy for a certain cherry blossom who was licking Kitsune's womanhood along with the blonde's manhood. He couldn't take it anymore and decided to come right here right now. He took her down as he got his manhood and began to spray the two with his seed. Sakura didn't know the term of, don't play with your food, as she was swirling it around and rubbed some of it in her body. The blonde just collapsed, Kitsune in his left and Sakura in his right. He was indeed in heaven. That was the best I've experienced in my life. I'm glad you're the man I did Naruto-kun. Sakura said, wrapping her legs around his snuggling close to his hard chest along with Kitsune. Needless to say Naruto didn't know what to expect but accept that he got two hot goddesses who really loved him. Naruto wakes up at around 6 in the morning. What he experienced was nothing more than a wet dream in his perverse fantasy. It's been 5 days since Naruto and his kunoichi companions Haruno Sakura and Hyuga Hinata and Hanabi. During those 5 days he's been feeling tension between the three over something that involved his body and. Looking around he finds his body wrapped around by another and looked down to find. Oh shit, it's Hinata all bare. He mentally screamed. Hinata's long hair covered the front of her chest. She had nothing but a thong on and the rest is all bare, leaving Naruto to have a trickle of blood coming from his nose, and at the same time his manhood stood up touching the Hyuga's lower body. The blonde continued to stare at Hinata's sleeping body. She was truly beautiful in every other way. His motivation turned the Hyuga from a shy petite girl to a hot and kunoichi that's saving her body for him to use and screw. Since when did Hinata become so kinky and damn with no clothes on? Naruto knew he was thinking perverse thanks to Jiraiya's ed lesson during his training. He didn't care, but the only thing he was worried was the killer intent coming right behind him. He looked around to find Sakura staring at him and Hinata with complete jealousy. Naru-kun, just what exactly are you doing with Hinata wrapped around your body? Sakura yelled at the blonde. It's not what it looks like, Sakura-chan. I swear I don't know how Hinata got onto me during the night and I was already asleep by then. He stuttered. Explained what, Naru-kun? That your thick rod ravished me so much you were screaming my name. The two looked to see Hinata smiling, looking at the two. Hinata was staring at the blonde for some odd reason. Knowing her, she had an erotic fantasy about him while at the same time caressing his hard length. How dare you? Once I'm through with that Hyuga bitch I'll be after your head, Naruto-kun. Sakura said. The three woke up quite different, where Hanabi could see Sakura wrestling her older sister while at the same had a bunch and beat the shit of the blonde for taking advantage of her sister instead of Sakura. Knowing her, she was rather disappointed that she wasn't wrapped in his arms after their dispute last night on who should sleep next to who. I'm glad that I'm not involved in this whole affair, she thought. Hanabi was getting breakfast ready for another day's trip to Suna. Normally it would take hours or a couple of days to get to Sunagakur, but with so many women and kunoichi looking for males of all ages to have with, travel now was more alert than a simple walk if you're harboring a male in the group of women. After 30 minutes worth of chasing, eating, planning stealth strategies, and brief showers where Hinata, Hanabi, and Sakura could only peep on Naruto while he's taking a shower in a nearby river. As for the blonde, he knew the roles have changed in society. Instead of males peeping on females, it was reversed. Unless you're hot, then it's a show, along with ogling stares of lust and weird feelings between the legs. Yush, now that we're ready, let's got to Sunagakur and hope to find the next scroll along with the fragments of those families. Naruto said. The kunoichi couldn't help but smile at the blonde's motivation as the four head off on their journey once again. Halfway there to Sunawar, the only obstacle now is to reach the desert, and from there is Gaara's place. What they didn't know is that sometimes things closer to them are more likely to have someone watching behind their backs. Especially if it's a group of kunoichi consisting of Shizune, Enko Mitarashi, Kurenai Yuahi and Hana Inuzuka watching from afar after catching up to them for 2 days. Knowing them, it would take time to convince Naruto to come back to Konoha with their bodies and a reason why he shouldn't be gang raped by a population of over 1,000-2,000 women. Naruto and the gang finally reached the end of the forest and the entry to the desert wasteland. What got Naruto paranoid is the fact that crossing the wasteland may increase the chances of being ambushed by Suna Kunoichi or any other renegade kunoichi looking to capture a male and make it a mindless slave for their own or their villages. I know I shouldn't say this, but let's be on our guard once we cross the wasteland and into Suna, okay? Naruto said. I know what you're thinking, Naruto. By crossing the wasteland we might encounter traps, or ambushed by kunoichi. Hanabi said. Yeah, I had that feeling. He nervously shrugged, giving the girls his trademark grin as a sign of worry and confusion. Hey, I'll make sure no one gets to my Naruto-kun no matter what the situation is. Hinata proudly said. You're Naruto-kun. He's mine since the very beginning of this journey. Sakura yelled. You said something, whore? Hanabi asked. I'll kill you once Naruto-kun's away from us. Hinata said, giving the pink-haired kunoichi a death glare. Sakura just responded by sticking her tongue while giving her the middle finger. Cut it out, you two. Now let's get going. We have 2 hours before the sun sets. If we don't hurry, then it may be hard to cross the desert, knowing its harsh wind conditions may change our course. Naruto said. The three agreed, and before they head into the wasteland, they wore protective headwears to prevent sand from getting into their faces. The last obstacle was dangerous, but not as dangerous as how the blonde shinobi had in the past week. He went through village after village in a henge to prevent any stir-ups from women of the towns. Why the henge? It's obvious, since the males have died out. Every village in the nation imposed their own border lines within a 10-mile radius. It was unlike all villages, towns and countries to do this, but rumors sparked the shinobi nation of a black-haired male spotted in a group of females ranging from 25 to 30 in their party, sparking a tighter security measure. Naruto thought it was smart to do this since he may, or rather another male, was alive. I hope Gaara's alive. I bet he's out enjoying himself with Suna's remaining women, or rather her sister is making him repopulate his nation. Naruto thought. In Konoha, a meeting was held with the clan leaders from the Aburame, Yamanaka, Haruno, Inuzuka and Kaharu on the issues of Konoha's well-being. Overall, Tsunade's meeting with the leaders would mainly be about Naruto's role in repopulating the village. Despite what the busty blonde's role in this, she wanted more than just using her blonde soon-to-be boy toy. She wants to guarantee his well-being, with him rumored to be the only man in Konohagakure, or rather the entire shinobi nation. It's of my understanding that Uzumaki Naruto has escaped the village with the help of Haruno, Sakura and Hyuga's Hinata and Hanabi. My team, consisting of Mitarashi Anko, Yuahi Kurenai, Inuzuka Hana and my assistant Shizune, are sent to go after Naruto and convince him to go back to the village by whatever means necessary. What you say is impossible. The demon child must be contained for our own benefits and used for repopulating our village. Kaharu said. If you recalled, Kaharu-san, my husband said that you wanted Uzumaki to be killed on sight or executed because he harbors the Kyuubi. Motoko Aburame said. The situation changes everyone. I've looked through his file and found something I happen to like. Like my husband said, troublesome. So what did you find out? Yoshino Nara asked. Naruto's family and his role as the Yondaimi's legacy that the council was unaware of for the past 16 years, even his role in his destiny. Kaharu said. Silence was among the room when word has been brought out that Uzumaki Naruto is an important factor in Konoha. Tsunade broke the silence to get everyone's attention, knowing the mistakes their late husbands and other male council members had before their demise. So Naruto's father is the Yondaime. What else is new? What's new is that you've never told anyone of this, Tsunade-san. What are you talking about, Koharu? Tsunade asked. I meant that you knew of this whole situation before, when Naruto told you that his journey is something so important that his decisions may affect the Shinobi nation. Tsunade was stunned by this. Of course she knew, but for the sake of what the blonde shinobi was going to do if he's targeted by a million women and kunoichi out there in the shinobi nation all wanting to claim his virginity piece by piece and use him for their own twisted desire. Whatever he's doing has some sort of connection to the Maiden of Time series and the Sacred Village. Koharu said. How do you know all of this, Koharu? Normally the council wouldn't obtain information such as this. The Godime yelled. Of course we do. In fact, I owe it all to Haruno Shizuka, who's been supplying me with such info that, now the shinobi nations and other nations are at a weakened state, we can start back and become a superpower. Tsunade turned to see Shizuka, who was smirking at this. Her apprentice must have known about all this and made the decision to aid Naruto's escape from the village. Knowing how broken she was close to be after all the males died, she just stayed in Naruto's apartment waiting for him to come. Her shell was broken the moment she sensed the same chakra signature that Naruto had after 3 years and hoped to care for him with her life. I'm quite certain that my daughter will help Naruto through this. In fact, I don't want to give out any information on the Haruno family ties that is related to series. Ever since the Haruno family's feud with the other family members in the past, I've kept this a secret for generations. When the Haruno clan are nomads searching for a home till Shadaime first created Konohagakure, she said. What are you and the council is planning, Haruno? Tsunade growled. Let's put it this way, the Uzumaki clan had some connection to Ceres, the Maiden of Time, along with the families with some ties to the village. In order to fully understand his unrequited destiny that he has unmistakably chosen, he must be able to get access to the village hidden in Forgotten Time. That can't be. The village is nothing more than a rumor, only a fairy tale to the whole shinobi nation that is nothing more than treasure to any power-hungry mongrel willing to spill the blood of innocent people for it. Tsunade said. That is where you're wrong. Whoever controls time controls life in itself. Chigusa Akamichi. Yes, Chigusa-san, if word spreads that Naruto obtains the items necessary to control time, then we have the opportunity to be in control and correct the faults that this village has made and use the power he's about to obtain. Koharu said. A lot of talk was among the 5-member council, including Tsunade. She had no idea that Naruto's unrequited destiny would happen so quick and so sudden, that the fate of life rests in his hands. On who's going to use that power and for what purpose. Tsunade was given the reports by Koharu and looked over it. She was shocked as she read in depth on the Uzumaki clan's files along with the Yondaime's personal records on how sacred the clan is in connection to the village. It all makes sense now. If Naruto's faint connection and ability to the village hidden in Forgotten Time was exact, he would have the ability to change all the faults he wants at his desire. The only downside is whether he should give up his life or something more valuable than his life to use it. Yet, the documents seem unclear since most of it didn't make sense on what price he should give once he arrives in the village hidden in Forgotten Time. One thing's for sure though, Tsunade denies the sacrificing part, and all she could do is rely on Sakura Haruno, Hinata and Hanabi Hyuga and Naruto Uzumaki. Enough of this. Why is Naruto related to all of this? And what in Kami's name is trying to do that'll affect everyone in the shinobi nation? AMD, what does Naruto's family famous for? Tsunade said. Fine, well, here it goes. The Uzumaki clan were known for its speed and sealing techniques. In fact, they moved so fast that time was too slow for them. At first the council and the Sandaime were preoccupied by their reputation, that is, till we find their secrets. No wonder the Yondaime was called the Yellow Flash. How can he make time slow without even using some sort scroll or teachings to do that? Tsunade asked. In theory, the power to slow time and space was already embedded within the Uzumaki clan in the village hidden in Forgotten Time. Even though Uzumaki Naruto is unaware of powers better to be awakened at its full. The Uzumaki clan have the power to manipulate time by only saying sacred words, or rather form a simple hand of a monkey and a fox seal to execute their speed. This proves that there's an ancient power somewhere in this nation that'll be the key to our success. For now we can only watch as time tells us all. Even though my family was once part of that village, it has been sealed off unless a massive pandemonium such as this were to happen. The cries of Ceres are expressed in the dreams of the chosen able to enter the village hidden in Forgotten Time. Shizuka Haruno said. The room was filled with mixed feelings after hearing that such the Jinchuriki's family would possess such ancient techniques. Tsunade had an uneasy feeling. Knowing the new council, they would do anything to convince the blonde Uzumaki to come back to Konoha or face severe punishments. Everything about this massive pandemonium and how the village hidden in Forgotten Time is a lot relevant in some cases. There was no denial that Naruto's destiny was apparently awakened, even though the dumb blonde doesn't know of it, and how his connection to the village will affect the lives and the fate of Konoha. So Koharu, do you have any intention to bring him back to Konoha? The Aburame asked. That is up to Tsunade-san's job. If her team fails to bring him back within a month, I'll send out an elite Anbu and Hunter Nin to execute the Hyugas and bring back Uzumaki and Haruno at Shizuka's request. By having the last remaining Hyugas executed, the Hyuga clan will be extinct. What you're saying is the extermination of the strongest clans we have in Konoha. Yoshino said. So be it then. I will not allow Konoha's repopulation program come to a sudden delay, all thanks to those bitches. We have only 2 males so far, and they seem to have been given some good treatment on our basis. Ino Yamanaka said. We're just like all the other males then, sadistic from the inside that is coming out of us in the open, and the roles that male and female value in life are switching fast. I agree with you, Motoko. But it has to be done if we value our future along with all the other children. The meeting had ending, leaving members of the council confused and had mixed feelings due to the situation, along with deep regrets on their handling of the repopulation program and their treatment of the remaining males. Tsunade just left the room and headed to her place. Usually the Hokages get special treatment for their ability to lead the Shinobi nation into top shape. For Tsunade, however, she had special treatment in every way. The room was rich, filled with elegant furniture along with a gem-encrusted mirror she had in the restroom. The busty blonde quickly went to the bathroom, undressed and entered the shower. Her body was magnificent despite her age, including her massive hanging loosely as cold water began soaking her. Being a bit dirty, she slipped 2 fingers inside her and began to masturbate, thing about the only blonde she wished she could have in the world in a lot of tempting ways. Naruto, it's wrong for me to do this, but please come back to us, to me. I'm sure we can work this out despite how the fate of the Shinobi nation rests in your hand. Halfway to Suna, Naruto and the rest of the Kunoichi were shocked. They were halfway to Sunagaku, to civilization, only to find a graveyard. Bodies of dead males and shinobi laid buried deep in the sand. The stench was so strong that Naruto began to vomit along with Sakura and Hinata. Hanabi, however, kept her cool, knowing how bad the stench is, in her pride as a Hyuga. Body parts were hung out of the sand while dead bodies were laid out to burn in the hot sun. As the group walked through the graveyard, Sakura finds something she'd never in her life would find since the Kunoichi from Konoha began to burn the dead bodies of their male counterparts and their loves. A little baby boy around 6 months of age laid there dead alongside what appears to be his dad, holding on to him for dear life. Tears burst from the cherry blossom's eyes as she went over to Naruto for comfort. It was terrible seeing this. It reminded her of Kurenai's child crying mercilessly when the disease hit Konoha, killing or rather exterminating the male population, breaking the hearts of all the women in Kunoichi who lost their lovers, fathers, brothers, sons, and cousins. Naruto sobbed, "It's horrible. Why did this disease have to affect little children too? They had so much to live for only to succumb to death so easily by this disease." Sakura sobbed harder. Hinata and Hanabi watched the scene too. The Hyugas hated the sight of seeing dead children and newborns in a desert to rot. Naruto hated it too but had to grieve and felt bad that he was the only male left alive in this world. There, I'm here for you, Sakura-chan. You know I sometimes wish that I could just trade my life for all the little children to live. Don't say that, Naruto-kun, it would kill me if you had done that and never have the chance to live the life you always dreamed of. I'm sorry, Sakura-chan, let's get going, we have till nightfall to reach Suna, so let's get going. The blonde said. All three agreed with him. While walking, Sakura had a right to know what changed Yuhi Kurenai from a sweet and loving mother to be to a deranged lunatic that the only thing left to fuel her lust is Naruto. Guys, I need to tell you in detail on what changed Kurenai after she lost Asuma and her baby boy. Okay, you can tell us while we're walking. Oh, I almost forgot, Henge. Naruto transformed into his female version, aka Naruko, giving the Hyugas a sweat drop and a blush from Sakura. Braided blonde hair and a skimpy body, she was still wearing his equipment. The equipment he was wearing made it look like Sakura and Hinata were going to pass out from blood loss. Sakura-chan, please tell me what happened to Kurenai in full detail on what happened and how she ended up so twisted. Naruto said. Okay, it all started when. Flashback. Have all males in any alternative hospital or comfort place ASAP. These males are infected with a strange disease and we don't have enough room in the hospital. Shizune said. With all the medics and villagers in a pandemonium, it was hard to tell whether the disease contracted with all the villagers, but so much was focused on finding a vaccine for the disease to stop. Sakura Haruno, however, stood right in the room watching a heartbroken Kurenai Yuhi at Asuma's bedside as his days in life were fading. Kurenai, I'm glad you're by my side to enjoy my last days of this world. Please don't say this. I can't lose you. I lost my crush, the Yondaime, and now you're go away. You can't, I love you so much. Kurenai yelled. She just sobbed so much on his bedside. Feeling way too bad, the Sarutobi just lifted her face to face him on his last moments. Kurenai, now that I'm going to pass on, please, if Naruto's alive, I want you to go to him and love him. He's a strong man. I trained him so much because of his affinity for wind, and I also promised him to take care of you should my time come. I had him promise to have him take of you and my child before he left for training with Jiraiya-sama. Kurenai just buried herself in his face, then went over to him and kissed him with so much force and passion that no couple can give to each other. As they kissed, their grip on Asuma's grip on her faded and he died. To shock to understand that her lover died from a simple disease has put her over the edge. Asuma. To Sakura, however, it was painful to lose someone very precious to you. In fact, she did when she lost her male counterparts the day after the disease hit Konoha. Kakashi-sensei, Neji, Shikamaru, Kiba, Choji, everyone, all her male friends died from a simple cold that couldn't be cured. The next few days were getting a lot worse. Kurenai's only child was still with her and she prayed that her son may be safe due to the recent attitude changes both kunoichi and female civilian alike had gone through. I hope we can get through, Keigo. I promised your father I would search for that blonde kid, that way he can comfort me in any way. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. Days later, Sakura, while working at the hospital, heard shrieking and pains of sorrow and tragedy. Becoming worried, the pink-haired kunoichi raced to the scene only to find Tsunade and Kurenai tending to a sickened baby. Please hurry up and cure my child. Calm down, Kurenai, and pull it together. I'm trying my best to get your child in good health. It wasn't enough, the Kurenai's child was worsening and it didn't look too good. Cries had suddenly stopped and Kurenai's spirit was dead. Her baby boy died from the common cold and had broken her to the core. The one thing she could think of is getting that blonde back that her late husband Asuma promised and have him to love her with all his heart even if she has to force him. End of flashback. Sorry if that was short, I'll go full detail once we retrieve the fragment and the scroll along with the next place to go. Alright, Sakura-chan, we're almost there and I can see the gates of Suna. I can't believe I forgot about that promise Asuma-sensei when he trained me before leaving with Ero Sennin for training. Kurenai-sensei knew of this too. She did had feelings for the Yondaime. Last I heard from Asuma that she was a total flirt before he died. Having to see you must have brought out something twisted that has been eating up inside her for a long time now. I feel bad for Kurenai-sensei, she didn't have to become so broken beyond repair. Hinata said. What can I do about it? If I meet up with her again she have Anko tie me up and rape me in several odds ways of bondage and I don't like bondage. Naruto whined. The group had arrived to Sunagaku. The place hasn't changed from what Shikamaru said when he first visited the place as an ambassador to Suna on peace arrangements and trade. As soon as they arrived to the gate they were stopped by 3 Suna Kunoichi along with a couple of Suna Anbu Kunoichi. They're armed and ready to attack if things go wrong. What are Konoha Kunoichi doing here and what business do you have with Sunagaku? The Suna Kunoichi said. We are here to talk to the current cage personally on a certain someone we have to talk about. Hanabi said. Fools, do you think we believe that crap? Besides, how are we sure that you Konoha whores aren't here to take away our remaining males from us? We are not associated with Konoha. In fact, we came at the last request of Uzumaki. Naruto will in testament to have a talk with the current cage and if Gaara of the Sand is still alive. The Sand Kunoichi heard of Uzumaki Naruto. In fact, it was him that has freed Gaara of his pain and sorrow and through his motivation that has led Gaara to become cage before the disease struck. Since then his reputation with the village has become quite popular during his frequent trips to Suna during his 3-year training with Jiraiya the Toad Sannin. Very well. Naruto-sama is the reason why our great leader has become one of the best. Please, we shall escort you to the cage and have a personal chat with her. The Konoha Kunoichi along with Naruto aka Naruto was escorted by the Sand Kunoichi inside Suna. What awaits them is pretty obvious that their mission was to find the other family member of the village hidden in forgotten time. To Sakura and the Hyuga sisters, Suna was like Konoha, only a lot deserted. It wasn't surprising that Suna's shinobi force had only 75% of male shinobi to 25% kunoichi. As far as civilians, the males were more of the majority than females. Knowing how barren the village Suna is, the chances of finding one of the family members in the sand village were high. As soon as they arrived at the cage building, the Konoha Kunoichi were escorted right in front of the door to the office. As soon as they opened the door, who the cage was is pretty obvious. Tamari of the Sand was sitting down doing her usual paperwork till she spot a group of kunoichi she didn't expect to see. Sakura, Hinata, Hanabi, it's good to see you girls once again. The blonde got up, went over and shook their hands. Strange thing is that while she was greeting them, she had her eyes focused on Naruto. Being very nervous, he just smiled and shook her hand. Hello Tamari, long time no see. Look, I know it's a bit late for skipping the how are you, but we have very important business to discuss. Sakura said. What would that be, Sakura? If it involves taking our last remaining males, then forget it. Survival of the fittest has begun and the Suna Kunoichi would rather die than give up the males to you. It's not like Tamari-san, we had a request from Naruto-kun to help fulfill a promise to the whole shinobi nation. Naruto said. And I suppose that Henge wouldn't do good if you were still alive and in my office. The Hyuga sisters along with Sakura and Naruto paled. Knowing Tamari, her brain was as big as Shikamaru's and as Suna's best strategist. The fact that her beauty of wearing that same outfit when the Suna siblings came to help the Sasuke retrieval mission is stunning. Wearing only the same clothing, only more skin, and the fact that her were showing through her clothing. No worries, Gaara is in the next room recovering from his escapades yesterday in repopulating my village. You mean he's still alive and is having with the remaining women here in Suna? Asked Hinata. You got that right. No worries, he's still okay, but we're keeping a low profile since most of the females' inner demons have awoken. I'll tell you all you want if you have. Naruto, drop her henge and explain to me what he is doing here in Suna. Silence filled the air. Tamari was no idiot like Naruto's mask. He knew he had to drop the henge, otherwise a lot of his fellow kunoichi or his well-being was in danger. The blonde dropped the henge and revealed himself to Tamari. At the sight of this she blushed all shades of red at his handsome looks, the way he's dressed and how his well-developed muscles showed. He was wearing black pants along with combat sandals reinforced underneath, a red and black shirt along with what looks like a chunin vest only it was unzipped showing some abs and a fishnet underneath it. Tamari had a sudden nosebleed and just got some tissues to cover her nose. The Hyuga women and Sakura had their handkerchiefs ready and their control in full throttle. Tamari-chan, you see I'm on a journey to prevent the whole disaster from happening by going back to the past and find out the real cause of the disease. To do that I have to search for anyone with the last names Kujimaya, Sakurazaki, and Miyazaki who may have some clues to reversing the past, knowing how they'll provide me with some information. The blonde Kunoichi put into thought for 1 second while she was divulging information Naruto has given to her. I understand your cause, but you must know that there's someone with the last name Kujimaya, but that person died from the disease. It's unclear whether he had a daughter or a son in Suna. All I know is that the Kujimayas are a special type of people to associate with. Why is that, Tamari-san? Hinata asked. The Kujimayas are experts at puppet making and developing new seal barriers. Unlike most of the clans here in Suna, they were the type to never associate with the outside world even though their house is in a distant corner of Suna. So can you take us there? I'm sure that we can see if there's anyone alive, then they might supply us with information. Sakura said. Of course, but first I'd wish for you to rest till morning. It's been very tiring for you. Konoha Shinobi, knowing you harbor Naruto in your group puts your journey at a tense moment. Naruto, until we meet the Kujimayas I want you in a henge for the most part. Normally I'm supposed to capture you and take you in as a slave, but I will make an exception. The council is unaware of your arrival, but with you disguised as woman then you would be fine. Arigato, Tamari-chan. Oh, how's Gaara doing? Naruto asked. He's doing good. He has mixed feelings about the situation the continent is going through after that huge epidemic. He's been trying to stay strong ever since his fear of hearing your death by the disease. Don't worry, I'll inform him that you're alive and he'll be okay. Still, you're a really big influence to Gaara. He acutely tried to start conversations with me and Konkuro and even tried to address the usual civilian work that needs to be done here in Suna. Now activate that henge or I'll change my mind. He performed a henge to become Naruto just so that Tamari wouldn't call her guards on him. Tamari took the Konoha Shinobi to a 4-bedroom in one house that was connected to the Cage building. The place had the simplest things needed for the guest. It had a 4-bed in one room along with a small ice box filled with instant food and other vegetables. The place also had a medium-sized bathroom made for 3 people. Naruto, being the gentleman he is, allowed Sakura and the Hyuga sisters to take a shower while he prepares dinner. Are you sure you're not going to cook ramen? If you do, I'll punch you all the way to Kurigakure. Sakura warned. Hehehehe. I promise you, Sakura-chan, along with Hinata and Hanbai-chan, that I'll make something healthy for all of us to eat. He said nervously. Sakura and Hanabi gave him a death glare while Hinata was just eyeing the blonde with pure lust in her eyes. The 3 Kunoichi headed off to the bathroom to get washed up while Naruto prepared what he calls his Uzumaki Sukiyaki. The girls will be pleased at what kind of dishes I can make besides ramen. Ero Senin will be pleased by this, knowing I can get a woman's heart by cooking instead of peeping. The blonde thought. Somewhere in heaven or earth a spiky white-haired perverted sneezed a lot. Dead or alive, he felt someone talking about him in a good or bad way depending on what you guys think. To the Kunoichi 3, Sakura hated the fact that she had to share a bath with the Hyuga sisters. To her it's like being sandwiched between 2 white breads overpowering a pink piece of meat. She got into the shower to join the Hyuga sisters. Tension once again increased again as they bathe in warm water trying to get all the dirt off their lovely bodies. The shower room was a large 8 feet by 9 feet in area, with elegant tile flooring with 2 different kinds of herbal body soap and shampoo. Girls, let's just stop this and for once get along with each other. It's troublesome that Hinata-ni-chan and you fight all because of some blonde loser is the only male alive. Hanabi said. I can't Hanabi, I won't allow this pink-haired whore to take my Naruto-kun away from me. Hinata said. Your Naruto-kun. If I recalled he never paid any attention to you all because of your bullshitty stutters and the fact that you stalk him ever since he came to the Shinobi Academy is plain wrong. Up till now you've had the courage to tell him that you love him but you miss every second of it. He tried to have my love and he succeeded. Sasuke Tem is dead and I have him all to myself. Sakura said in a proud voice. Bullshitty stutter. Take that back you pink-haired bitch. The reason why is because of my bastard of a father. Now that he's dead I finally have the courage to tell him how I love him even if I have to rape him to make him love me. Hinata said staring eye to eye with the pink-haired Kunoichi while Hanabi just scrubbed herself with some body soap. You wouldn't dare. He's been gang-raped by the Inuzuka clan and his brutal rape encounter with Kurenai Uehi. Even if you raped him he's going to think twice on who he chooses on how mentally scarred he is now and how much his heart is tearing piece by piece. I'm his comfort and I'm willing to give up my body and happiness just so that he can be healed unlike you selfish Hyugas who only gets what they want all because you're superior in class and in Konoha. Hinata was shocked by all of this. Everything she says is true. Even Hanabi thinks it's true. Hinata could only face the truth by keeping silent for the remainder of the time till they get dressed into their nightgowns. Sakura knew how broken Naruto's heart is and wants to heal him with every fiber of her heart and attention he's ever given to her since their academy days in Konoha. Naruto, I promise to mend your heart even if I have to sell myself to you. You've done so much for me after Sasuke left. You even treated me like a princess close to a goddess and allow me to hit you for most of the time. Sakura thought. 30 minutes later. Naruto has finished his Uzumaki Sukiyaki containing a healthy dose of hard tofu, thin slices of meat, a tasty soup, a little bit of ramen to the mix along with vegetables he had his Kage Bunshin get as Naruto in the village. His clone told him that the vegetables were fresh and was surprised by the fact that Suna can farm vegetables in its weird state like this. Once he set the dishes down all he needs to do is wait for the Kunoichi to eat and rest early before tomorrow's meeting with the Kujimaya. The girls came out of the bathroom all wearing only a single long shirt with their own personal colors. Sakura the usual pink no pants except her panties while Hinata and Hanabi the same. Naruto closed his eyes quickly to avoid being knocked out of the atmosphere. Ga I'm closing my eyes please don't kill me I'm not like Ero Sennin who's used to this stuff. Naruto said. Naruto quit acting like you've never seen a woman before. Have you forgotten about what's happened since the disease came? Sakura said. Yeah Naruto unless you're gay like Sasuke Tem. I'm not gay. The blonde yelled. Just checking Naruto-kun. Hehehehehe. Sakura giggled while the Hyuga sisters have second thoughts about the blondes. I don't mind if Naruto's that make things in bed a whole new reality. Too bad Neji's dead. Naruto would learn to keep his hands off him even though he's not really gay. Hanabi thought. The four sat down and began to enjoy their sukiyaki in the table. What the girls tasted was unlike anything before. The sukiyaki tasted like heaven. As if some professional created such a fantastic dish. Naruto on the other hand couldn't help but smile at seeing the girl's reaction to his dish. Wow Naruto I didn't think you had it in ya to cook something so delicious. Hanabi said. That's right Naruto-kun this dish is the best. Hinata said. For once I have to agree with Hinata on this. You've actually made something besides instant ramen that actually tastes good baka. Ah that's sweet of you Sakura-chan, Hinata-chan, and Hanabi-chan. I had to make sure all the spices are correct and how I was going to implement it. Naruto implied showing off his cooking skills that no male has ever done. Next time we camp in the wilderness you're going to be our personal cook even though I'm at least better than you. Sakura said. For the remainder of the time at the dinner table all was spent on catching up on the good times, discussing who had the bigger tits and appeal and what part of Naruto's body was better, his manhood or his entire body. With dinner done, the four went to their separate beds and began to get a lot of rest for tomorrow's big day with the Kujimaya clan. Naruto, after a quick shower, was in his boxers and black shirt, shows some definite muscles and abs. The Hyuga sisters blushed at this while Sakura went to get a tissue box for the remainder of the night. Well, tomorrow's a big day, girls. Let's get a good night's sleep if we want to survive, okay? Naruto said. The four went to sleep peacefully. What the blonde doesn't know is that tension again increased the air, with Sakura and Hinata eyeing each other like vultures eyeing themselves back and forth on their prey. Hinata gave up and fell asleep to save her energy while Sakura drifted away to sleep. During the night though, Sakura began to hear sounds of whimper, crying, and fear coming from the blonde. Becoming worried, she got up and went over to Naruto's bedside to listen to his sleep talking. Kurenai-chan, no, don't do this me, please, it hurts, I can't take it anymore. Struggling in his bed, he was drenched in sweat all over his body and he couldn't take it. Sakura was shocked by all this. Apparently his wounds haven't healed yet and it was only getting worse as time moves on in their journey. Please don't kill Sakura-chan, I beg of you. I'll do anything you want, Tsunade-hime, Anko-chan, Shizune-chan, sniff, don't kill, her. I love her to death. I'll even sell my soul to you, just don't kill her. Sakura couldn't take it anymore. She removed the blanket and got on his bedside. She pulled him over to her front and embraced him. Even though his face was digging into her busty chest, she didn't care. Naruto, I'm here for you no matter what. I'll make up for my mistakes that have caused your heart to be ripped into pieces. I love you and I will always be with you. Sakura said, caressing his face and smoothing his spiky long hair. They had once and it doesn't hurt to feel the sensitive touch of one's love that, as she continues to hold him, their love may extend so far out till the end of time. Naruto was crying. Sure, he was a shinobi who's mastered a lot of the techniques and seals Jiraiya had taught him during his 3-year training session in the world of the shinobi, but it was a lot worse. Naruto had a nightmare of Kurenai raping him and showing no mercy during there, along with Hana torturing his beloved Sakura or whatever the hell she was doing to her in his sleep. He kept on crying about his heart, tearing piece by piece as he continues this journey, but he knew he had to stay strong. Strong enough to hold his ground long enough till he has a quiet mental breakdown. The blonde was slowly opening his eyes to find 2 big marshmallow-like pillows pressing his face. He tried moving his body, but what's shocking was that his left leg was wrapped around 2 legs. In other words, someone had snuck into his bed and held on to him like some kind of life support. What the? Why is there someone? Oh no, I hope I can come up with a better excuse for this. The blonde struggled to get of this woman's grip. He looks up slowly only to find his girlfriend, Sakura Haruno, right in front of him sleeping. He was about to get away till he saw the pink-haired Kunoichi awoke from last night's hell. Huh, hey, I'm supposed to be in my bed right now. What am I doing in Naruto? Eck, pervert, get away from me. Sakura threw a chakra-filled pillow right at Naruto's face, sending him right to the wall, earning him stars to look at early in the morning around 6 a.m. Hinata and Hanabi all looked at the couple and just ignored them as the Hyuga sisters ate breakfast and at the same time putting their clothing and equipment on. Normally Hinata would go on ranting on how much of a bitch Sakura is to Naruto, but ignored it because of their planned meeting with the Kujimaya clan and the next scroll and fragment of the celestial items to gain access to the village hidden in Forgotten Time. Sakura, after 10 minutes of reality, realized what she's done and what happened during the night. She came on his bed and held him in her arms for the remainder of the night. Sorry Naruto-kun, I forgot what happened last night and had a reflex punch. No hard feelings, right? She nervously said, watching the blonde get up and used a bit of healing chakra himself. None taken, Sakura-chan. Did you hear everything last night? Naruto said, lowering his voice to become so solemn. Yeah, I'm sorry if I heard you or get into your bed last night. It's too hard for me to see you suffer like this every night. Looking at the scene had the Hyuga sisters just staring at the scene like a romantic moment between the couple. It disgusted Hinata that the cherry blossom was the blonde's affection and couldn't help but feel jealous. After all, Naruto is the only hot male in the shinobi world, and she knew that starved women are out there searching for his piece of meat and won't hesitate to take it. Naruto and Sakura finished their moment and headed right to the table to start breakfast. Naruto sat between Hinata and Hanabi for some odd reason as he offered himself a platter of hotcakes, a small bowl of breakfast ramen and water for starters. The Hyuga sisters smirked at the cherry blossom, knowing she couldn't start hell with a bit of insecurity roaming Suna. Sakura could only stare and eat little by little at the scene where Naruto is harassed by the two kunoichi. Just as Sakura was about to lose control, drips of sand dropped right in front of the door, and as it gets bigger so does the group's weird expressions. The big pile of sand began taking a human form, making a smile that was staring at the blonde. Gaara. Uzumaki. Uzumaki. Gaara jumped onto Naruto, giving him a little brother to big brother bear hug, and was unknowingly crushing him for some odd reason. Ugh, it's good to see you again, Gaara. Now would you please let me go, that way I can see A.N.N. Br. Rayoth HH. Gaara let go of Naruto and just stared at him and the rest of his companions with both a smile and a business face. Hinata, Hanabi and Sakura just watched the scene with a confused look on their face, knowing who Gaara was and his reputation was unusual in light of the current situation the shinobi nation's in. Gaara, I assumed you know why we're here then. Of course, Uzumaki. Tamari told me of the details that I find very odd on why you want to change the past. Please Gaara, you must understand the situation that the shinobi nation is in. That's right, listen to Naruto, Gaara, he has to do this and he feels connected to do this. It's like his destiny to do this. Hinata said. Thinking for 2 minutes on what his best friend is trying to do, he then came to one conclusion. Put on a Henju Uzumaki and follow me. I'll show you where the last of the Kujimayas resides and hopefully your answers will be answered. Our favorite blonde didn't hesitate to transform into Naruto as he followed the Sand Jinchuriki, followed by the Hyuga sisters and the pink-haired kunoichi, out into a barren ghost town called Sunagaku. Gaara led the group northeast away from the central part of the village. Naruto's group looked at the place. Despite how quiet it was, the blonde couldn't help but feel suspicious since the sound of wind was the only thing he can hear. Once they arrived at the Kujimaya's, Naruto, the Hyuga sisters Hinata and Hanabi, and Sakura were shocked. The place was like a mansion, except that the mansion was shaped like a doll with a weird-shaped head similar to Konkuro's. Base of the house was a 2 feet by 4 feet wide and high with a stone door that was apparently sealed. Naruto had a disturbing feeling that the trials ahead were going to be a lot disturbing than what he had hoped for. The stone doors opened and smoke came out of the mansion, revealing a beautiful red-haired woman wearing a black sports bra that showed her in colorful pants that have the different types of doll pictures and designs with a disturbing look. Her hair extended back to her butt while her female six-pack was bulging, making her an exotic woman rivaling Naruto's female companions. So you must be the hot blonde that was said to have come from my fragment of the celestial stone and the scroll of opening to the village. The redhead extended her hand to the blonde. I'm Flay Kujimaya, Flay Ulster from GSPPL, just so you know. Well, I'm Uzumaki Naruto and my companions, and I came here to seek the stone and the clue on the next location of the scroll and the passage to the village hidden in forgotten time. He nervously said while shaking her hand, leaving his female companions sending death glares at the woman who knew that type of face she was giving, and it wasn't love, it was lust. Please don't flatter yourself, Naruto-kun. I'll get straight to business and allow you inside the trials. Trials? What trials are you talking about? Hinata asked. She means the obstacles that Naruto and I faced when I first got the scroll and fragment of the celestial stone at my place. Yes, Pinky is right. Like every family of the village hidden in forgotten time, we have an underground sanctuary that holds the trials for those seeking to enter our sacred village. Well, what are we waiting for? Let's hurry on before certain women come after me. Somewhere near the desert, Anko, Kurenai, Hana, and Shizune sneezed frequently for 10 minutes. Kinda odd if a certain blonde is thinking of them. The Hyuga sisters, Sakura, and Naruto followed Flay into the stone mansion, leaving Gaara time to depart. He wanted to follow him, but since Tamari was caged, she would have him busy repopulating his village. Good luck, Uzumaki, and may your journey be a safe one. Now onto my room for some fun along with some bondage. Gaara left, leaving Naruto and the gang inside the Kujimaya clan mansion as they looked around the halls of the stone mansion. The place was filled with puppets and dolls of different variety, a lot with arms and a lot with strange designs. Flay looked at the group and smiled. She wasn't surprised that the four were freaking out, that some of the dolls all around were looking at them. After all, she was going to show them something creepy. Alright, you four, follow me, where I'll show you the trials are at, and trust me, be prepared, because since it's going to be underground, the smell will invigorate you. The four didn't like the sound of her words as they followed her to a door leading to an underground passage, with the same spiral staircase like what Naruto and Sakura had to endure. The journey down underground didn't take long, only 10 minutes, and come across a seal on the stone door. Flay took a knife from her pocket, cut a line in her wrist, performed a hand seal and slammed it on the door, opening up to a room full of darkness. What you're about to see inside is the trials and the people who's died from their hands, where those two are capable of instant kills for only, then seconds. Who cares, all four of us are no pushovers and we can take on whoever's coming, right girls? You say it, Naruto-kun. Yeah, whatever, Naruto-san. Naruto-kun, we won't hold you back. Just looking at them reminds the red-haired woman of such determination she saw in some people since the war against Kumo happened. So many casualties from her clan and so many lives lost in battle, the power of determination still lives in a person's heart and soul. The four entered the room only to see the light of something more disturbing. Bodies were hanging all around the room, whereas body parts lay there rotting away. The room was like a large duho that reminded Naruto and Sakura of the place that Rock Lee. Markings and symbols made the area a lot disturbing as the room is beginning to reveal its true nature. This is the trials of the Kujimaya clan. All shinobi and adventurers travel to get the hidden treasure that we've kept so long in a generation. For you, however, the trials will be interesting, since the blonde one is somehow connected to the village hidden in forgotten time. Those two up front will be the judges on what is needed to be. The four looked over at the end of the hall to find two dolls, hand in hand with each other with a sick look on their faces. Hanabi had a smug look on her face just seeing it. The Hyuga pride took over and had second thoughts on her face. Those dolls are supposed to be the trials, PFFHHTT, whatever, they don't seem scary to me. I would watch your language, Hyuga. Those dolls may seem quiet, but once the trials start, then those dolls will become your nightmare if you don't beat them despite having only one trial out of all. Flay said. Naruto walked toward the altar where the two dolls resided. There was hostile attention coming from the two and he didn't like it. One of the dolls had stitch marks across his face and hillbilly-like clothes along with a knife in his hand. The other doll was blonde with a maid uniform with a white shirt underneath, black eyeliner and a creepy look on her face. Once he was over there, the dolls began to come to life and began to speak. So, you must be the blonde we've been waiting for, huh? Well, it's no surprise to see that such a worthless like you are able to have enough balls as it is to face us. Who are you two anyway? Naruto asked. Us. Well, ha 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 ha, my name is Chucky and this is my beautiful wife Linda. Bear with me on this, okay? I forgot what's her name from Child's Play and Seed of Chucky. We are dolls that have been sealed with hatred in our hearts. This is the Kujimaya trials and was the guardians of this place, and in order for you to get the scroll and the fragment you will have to beat us to get to those items. Let me guess, there's a catch to all of this. The blonde said. Yes, a little detail about us is that there's a time limit on how long you can take to defeat me and my wonderful wife. 1 hour is the time limit, otherwise we shall make good target practice to you and your bitches' bodies as well. This was going to be hard. The killer intent the blonde was sensing was too disturbing yet powerful, like they were waiting for them to kill once or was fated to kill. Do you wish to 1-on-1 or 2-on-2 in this fight or what, asshole? The doll said. Thinking for one moment he had thought about how deadly the fight were going to be, considering how disturbing the place is and the risk he's willing to take. He cared for the safety of his girls, despite the fact that they can take care of themselves in life and death situations. After all, kunoichi can be as sweet as they are on the outside but deadly in the center. I'll go against you one-on-one, if that's okay with you. The blonde said. Very well then, but know this, I'm more than a match just because I'm a mere doll. Flay, please explain to them before we start the trials. Very well then, just so you know that the fight trials here are rumored to be one of the most deadliest of all in the Shinobi Nation. Not everyone has ever passed this one except a very few who died right after they passed it. Chucky is an expert in puppet-style jutsus and is a formidable opponent. Going one-on-one is suicide, but I wish you the best, Naruto-kun. The kunoichi were worried about Naruto, considering putting himself at risk on a one-on-one with a psychopathic doll who's killed tons of people and left them rotten really puts the risk a lot, since their safety was also a concern. Ooh, this sounds found, darling, please rip him in half please, I'll be watching, honey. Don't worry Linda, I'll end this real quick since blonde here doesn't stand a chance. Alright you two, now that everything is set we shall begin with the trials. We shall begin. Girls, I want you to step back near the entrance as we prepare for an interesting battle. Naruto got his equipment check and his special kunai in set along with some seals and his katana ready. The jutsus he learned from Jiraiya along with his associate by the name of Yamato, he was able to take his abilities far off what jutsus the Yondaime has learned before the Kyuubi attacked. Since then, during his trips of training with Yamato and Jiraiya has been harsh, but his body can endure it against a crazy doll and maybe impress his kunoichi companions for that matter. This is going to be interesting. The ki coming from this puppet is more than enough on what kind of jutsus he will pull out. Naruto-kun, good luck, don't die on us, okay? Yeah, Naruto-kun, if you die I'll revive your sorry back and beat the shit out of you once more. Don't die, Uzumaki-san. Naruto got into his fighting stance as Chucky just got off the podium, got out his favorite knife into his stance despite being only 2 feet tall. Let the trials begin. Futon. Daitapa. Naruto went on the offensive as he released his attack on Chucky, causing him to go off his feet into the wall. The blonde charged ahead to deliver a punch to the doll only to hit a substitution that had a ball of spikes causing pain, his right hand instantly bleeding on edge. I'm right here, blonde. He immediately felt a stab through his heart as Chucky latched onto him and stabbed, allowing an instant kill in his case, only to find that it was a Kage Bunshin. WHAAATTT. Kaden. Gokaikyu no Jutsu. Grand Fireball Technique. Naruto released his attack on Chucky, nearly burning him to a crisp as the room lit up with flames, also incinerating the bodies. Though it was not as powerful as Jiraiya's or the Uchiha clans, despite his affinity for wind, he was able to get that jutsu done properly, all thanks to our favorite super pervert. The doll manages to escape with only minor burns to his arms and body. He was furious. No one has managed to damage the doll to escape safely from a dangerous attack in his entire life of being the guardian here for the Kujimaya clan. Alright, blonde, time to get serious. Kugutsu no Jutsu. Puppet Technique. Naruto tried to dodge the attack but couldn't move. His hand moved without his control as he felt his body moving around like a puppet by Chucky, who had complete control of his body through chakra strings. Ga, what's happening to me? Why can't I move? Naruto said. For a blonde, you sure are dumb. That's the Kugutsu no Jutsu. It allows me to control puppets with my chakra fingers. Though it's normally for puppets, I can also control living things or objects if done correctly. Now for the fun to start. Chucky got out his knife and plunged himself directly to the blonde, aiming for his heart only to go only for his midsection of the body. On the audience stands, the girls were watching an intense battle that was to determine their lives if the blonde lost to a mere 2-foot doll. Flay was shocked at such powers the blonde had against a doll who can manipulate other dolls and objects without having to be controlled himself. I'm impressed that your lover here is doing a lot better than I hoped. A lesser man would have died in less than a minute in a fight against that sadistic doll. Naruto has a lot of surprises up from his arsenal. The only problem is that will he show us a jutsu that has made the Yondaime more powerful and called Konoha's Yellow Flash. Sakura said. You don't mean. That may be so, but I don't think he's going to use it right now ever since I saw those special kunai he had in his pack. Back to Naruto and Chucky. The blonde felt the pain in his abdomen being stabbed by a 2-foot doll. The pain was too much as he couldn't bear the knife shoved deeper inside him, whereas the only thing he can do is pull off a risky stunt that may end up injuring himself and the doll. Now guys, do it now. Bunshin Daibakua. Clone Great Explosion. Out from the dark corners of the area a cage bunshin came out of nowhere and exploded right behind the doll, causing a huge sound, roaring and sending the two away from each other. Naruto was injured and he wasn't doing well. Since he had pulled off a suicide attack, it left him with multiple burns and injuries to his body that it felt like Chucky was winning more than he was. Hey, so this is the great psychotic killer who slaughters so many shinobi only to be beaten by a dumb blonde. Wow, I'm amazed right now, and if you're wondering why my clone managed to explode, I secretly did a cage bunshin and had to hide within the shadows waiting for the right moment to strike. Chucky was beyond furious. He had half-hour left and he was going to pull out all the stunts and go for the kill. He was simply fooled by the fact that his got the better of him and almost died from his attack. He had no choice but to go all out. Alright, you dumb blonde. Playtime's over. Soshua. Manipulating blades technique. Chucky stick out his right hand, shot chakra strings out from his hand and gathered kunai, shuriken, and swords from the remains of the shinobi and started controlling the weaponry and aimed it at Naruto. The blonde quickly used a cage bunshin and started spreading out while avoiding the attacks made by Chucky, controlling the movements of every weapons left behind in the room. Shunshin no Jutsu, body flicker technique. Wah! It didn't occur to Naruto as he felt a stab to his shoulder along with several knives struck him from behind. He fell to the ground as he was bleeding immensely. There was 15 minutes left in the battle as Chucky smirked at his downfall. Despite being injured himself, in truth he could barely manage. Naruto. Iahahahahahahahaha. What a he didn't know about my other jutsu I had going to for him. The Soshua was a complete success, but now is the time to finish the blonde off. The doll performed several hand seals as he stood on top of him. Using his chakra strings he attached to a random body and brought it to life. Hitokugutsu, human puppet technique. Just then a living being was brought back to life, along with a large zanbeitu in his right hand. Chucky had saved his good attack for last, seeing as he preserved a shinobi in reserved for his pleasure. His left hand had a claw while his right was carrying it at one hand, moving motionlessly at the unconscious blonde. Now my puppet, finish him off and enjoy tearing him SSSLOWWLY, ha 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 ha. Naruto had little strength left and he's in desperate need to finish him off. Him secretly casted a substitution jutsu to a cage bunshin he made. It was his last shot if he was going to pull it off this last shot. Naruto got up but was being held down by Chucky in the hair while stabbing him. You're a tough one, blonde, but this is where it ends. I don't think so. Udama Rasengan, Great Spiraling Sphere. Futon Rasengan, Wind Release Spiraling Sphere. Two cage bunshins used the Udama Rasengan on the mindless body while Naruto finished Chucky off with the Futon Rasengan, decimating him and completing the trial, shocking everyone including Linda. Darling. He finished off Darling. It can't be, no one has ever beaten him in such a long time. Hey, I finished him off but he was holding back. For some reason, the blonde coughed up blood as the injuries, burns, and stab wounds to his body took over. The last thing he ever saw was a pink-haired kunoichi along with several women coming to his aid along with a bright light leading into the altar containing the next clue and fragment.